It's
Yeah,
been a minute for me, but I'm excited to kind of see it 'cause we're getting near to the end of the
Oh,
first stage, right?
So
yeah. So I've played all my games.
I just put up the stream so
There are
we can
not,
do a
in
sound
fact,
test. I just put up
and
the
the
stream for a sound test, you guys. So if you'll hop on my channel, you can find the stream and let me know how the sound is.
all right. YouTube or
Yeah.
Captain Captain Gyro.
And we'll have a little chatter and see how everything sounds.
Yeah. Uh. So Gyro Live is your channel.
This is Captain Gyro.
Okay, to
Uh.
me, it sounds pretty good. I deafened so I could focus on what the video was saying versus over the Discord, but it
I can't.
sounds pretty good to me.
Cool.
So your YouTube channel is Captain Gyro.
You're not already liked and subscribed? Come on.
Wow.
You're
It,
really
admit,
Wow.
hurting my feelings, dude.
admittedly not, but that's because I watch via the streams themselves, and well, they automatically get transferred to Scotsword's channel, so
Fair enough.
I just find them there, you know.
I liked your edited videos. That's why I subscribed.
That warms my heart, Pizza Wizard.
I want one of the 9. Oh yeah.
It has a niche audience, but they do appreciate it. All right, so that should be good. All right, we're live. Anybody who can
Okay.
watch, hopefully will. Oh, I should
Yeah, so
let me
let's-
post the link.
Yeah, post the link and wish. Yeah, the sound levels are good on your channel.
All right.
There we
In any event.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, Kajik was going to bed after playing a game with me, which with the dog just trolling in the background. Very
Lovely.
annoying.
Don't
But
talk about him on stream.
well, true.
It's
but
very late. I you know, I
but
understand.
regardless, it was a rough hunter run for me. I didn't find the third white one until like midweek 3.
Oof. No, how that
and
goes.
a third horse at the bottom of the deck. On top of that, I mean he pulled off an Ireland start and got away with it.
Nice. It's a viable
Eh,
technique.
and yeah, it has been annoying to have something like that pulled off against me, especially when Mina starts closer to that area with my setup.
That's why I like the Seward in Bordeaux start, because then you can get to Ireland one day faster.
I like Seward in Bordeaux too.
I mean,
I think putting him in Madrid's overrated.
well,
We'll see.
both are.
But yeah, for anybody watching, we should be cooking here in about 2 or 3 minutes. They should be starting up the game, so we're just making a little chatter in the meantime.
It's a very
Yeah.
small difference, right? And I do wonder if there is room for improvement in other areas of the map. If like moving Seward to Bordeaux, now that we've agreed that we think that's better, is there like a better place for Mina and Godalming to be? Is Munich better than Vienna? I don't really think so, but I wonder how the meta will change over time.
I've considered starting the two of them in Bucharest in the east for an early psychic scan of Baltica, so you can just kind of move on from there. Uh, of course, Dracula can be cute and like move to 55 from Austria-Hungary, right? But that's part of the risk. But I don't know. It just leaves so much of the middle of the map open. It's tough to actually pull the trigger on doing that.
Yeah.
But the railroad from
It's
Bucharest
definitely
to
it's definitely a
the
very
west isn't that bad.
yeah, it's definitely a very rough, very tough balancing act of over centralizing and not centralized enough. It's a very difficult balancing act to be sure.
I do wonder because you have a setup like I think I don't remember. I think it was a Pirate Joe setup that scouts were put in this recent video where you kind of keep your hunters like you put one of them in like Italy and one of them in Munich, and then you kind of commit to moving one to the other, and then making Dracula scared to start in either Germany or Italia because you might sking either one. I do wonder if the early movement I've kind of always just wanted to supply in the early game and not move much at all, but is there value to kind of bluffing that you're gonna scan one or the other and then kind of forcing Dracula into a worse position because of that? I don't know.
Right.
I've been thinking about
There,
it.
yeah, there's all sorts of possibilities.
The other thing to consider is that if Dracula starts in an extremity, and then you figure out where he is, and he has to flee, he has to flee towards the middle of the map, sort of, right? Like from the
At least
east,
most
he
of
has
the
to go
time,
to
yeah.
Italy, for example.
From Spain,
And
unless
you
you
can
try to leave
intercept.
Spain from sea. Yeah.
Whereas if he starts in the center of the map, he can then flee to an extremity.
Which is why I tend to like trying a central play more than the extremity things.
Yeah, it's an interesting give and take.
I mean, spoiler for whichever of my opponents in the tournament watch this, I tend to try to avoid just doing the east. I'll do it every now and again, but the majority of the time I'll be somewhere in central, which of course scouts can help you, but it makes it harder for you to just pick me off, like for turn one. But
Yeah.
well,
I mean, I think that honestly, I do think that is something that even though I won the whole thing, right, or the tournament, I do think that I have a serious weakness in that I am very predictable. Like I think Wakajik in the game where I played as Dracula against him, which we didn't get recorded, but he I think drew a hired scouts like week one and immediately guessed where I started because he had watched enough of my videos to know where I like to start, and then he just picked two of those spots and I was in one of them because I am not very creative as a Dracula player. I'll often do very similar things, and he was just like I was sure you were gonna start in Nantes, and he guessed Nantes, and I was there.
You
and
did
well,
that in our multiplayer game too. You went to Nantes.
Yeah,
yeah.
I like Nantes a lot, and he
Yeah,
knows it.
it's a
I'm
good
not
spot.
very creative.
For my part, uh, I for my part it'll be a little more difficult than that. As I like, I'll do practically anywhere. Oh dear, they seem to be doing a public game.
It's fine.
As long
Okay.
as we avoid that one person, we'll be okay. But yeah, I mean, and what you were saying, like center of the map versus edge of the map, that's why I like Amsterdam so much. I feel like it is kind of both, where you get to put your starting encounter on Amsterdam, which is far away from everything, and then move into the center of the map. And you can go east, you can go down towards Spain, you can go into Italy. Just a lot of options.
Yeah, as long as you don't get caught like in Venice or something,
As long as you don't get caught in Venice. It's
or
true.
like Genoa, those like
Well,
high traffic spots.
right, that's true. And as long
But
as you aren't like
as Dracula, when you're in North Germany like that, you can really take advantage because you pull the Eastern hunters up into North Germany and then you slip out through like Northern Italy or Southern Germany.
mhm, definitely. Especially if John Stewart is in Madrid, he's kind of far away to deal with it, so the closest people are the ones there. So if both of them go upwards to deal with it, you can sometimes go past them. Although I think it can be a bit risky with like random proximity events. If like Van Helsing is still supplying, for example, while they're moving, I think there's a little bit of risk there. But it makes the hunters think about it at least, right? And then maybe they don't move as fast as they want to because they don't want to leave the east unguarded. But
Yeah.
I think I've waxed poetic about Amsterdam more than enough, so I'll probably we can leave it where it is, and then if I ever start playing again, we can bring it back up. But there's a game, I think.
Okay. James' app name is okay. He's giving us the password.
Yeah. Oh, I should probably not join until the players are here. Oops.
Oh, did you? They're not in yet.
If you join before they're all in, you can't spectate.
Got it. Is there a
Alright.
way to tell in a private game
I
when they're both in?
think
Or...
they've begun.
It says game is up. Name is.
Oh, oh, I'm too early.
Yeah.
I'm too early. I'm
Sorry.
leaving.
Yeah, that's our bad.
Yep.
It's possible that one of us should go in so that we know when both of them are there.
Or I think Captain Joe's gonna ask him that.
No, yeah, I just
tell
messaged him.
us.
He's gonna tell me.
If they just tell us, yeah.
Almost there.
Don't want to rush them, you know. It's their game.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Wait 5 more
Well,
minutes.
you can't rush him into it.
Okay.
Don't be hasty.
Sense of emergency can be, you know, quite destructive. You know, just let them go at their own pace.
Nice one.
So what's your favorite portrayal of Dracula? Fangs of Fire. I'll start with you. Who's your favorite actor who played Dracula?
I have not seen any Dracula movies, so I can't say that. So I can't say anything there.
All right, Pizza
Actually.
Wizard, your turn.
I really liked the Van Helsing movie. I don't remember which actor it was that played Dracula in it, but I liked that movie a lot.
Quincy Morris would be proud.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Good one there.
Oh no, it isn't. But it's a
It
fun
is a good-
it's a fun movie.
It's a fun movie. It's a good watch. How about that? It's a good watch. That's what it is.
I'm gonna try their game again. They gotta have started by now, right?
I know it's not quite a video adaptation, but I did really like how he was portrayed in the books, with like the first section of the book kind of giving you a closer perspective of like what Dracula's life was like before all of these hijinks started with him and Jonathan Harker. I thought that was really cool.
That's interesting. I haven't thought about that. Why haven't they started?
Well-
Often in these things, you'll get like the hero's exposition, and then you'll have an inciting incident where the heroes meet the villain, but you don't really get the villain backstory. But in that case, we did.
Yeah, no, he's a great character. I think Renfield was, on the whole, a fairly bad movie. Stinker might be maybe a strong word, but I don't think it's too strong a word. But there were some great highlights with Nick Cage as Dracula. He definitely, the movie lit up every time he was on screen. He just was really, really villainous. You could tell he like savored every evil line. He had no redeeming qualities whatsoever. It was great.
Yeah.
I think a really good villain can really make a movie. Like maybe this is going a bit more juvenile here, but like Puss in Boots and the Last Wish, Jack Horner is just a villain. He has no redeeming qualities, but he was really well portrayed, and he was really a really good villain despite being so one-dimensional.
Oh, absolutely. Villain is super important. If you ever watch Columbo, all the best episodes are the ones with a really interesting villain. Have you ever noticed the horseman on the title screen of this game? When he rears back,
right?
when he rears back, you can see that he actually only has one arm.
Really?
Because of the way the card art works. See, like, because the card art was never made to have him move out of position like that.
Oh,
right? So
you're
when
right.
he moves out of position, you'll notice that he only has one arm, because that's the arm that would be behind the horse.
It's really interesting.
Oh, I thought it was a hilarious tidbit.
They have started.
We're
by the way.
beginning now.
Okay. Okay. Let's. Okay. Somehow, I apparently did his password a little bit long.
You can manage it. I believe in you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's enough of the preamble. Welcome to the greatest event in sports that will be televised today.
Right now, at this moment.
Yes, we have the Fury of Dracula New Blood competition, and I'm joined today by my two regular co-hosts, Fangs of Fire and Pizza Wizard. Welcome, boys.
Thank you.
Pizza Wizard, start us off. Where's Dracula gonna hide? Where's he gonna start?
Well, I want to see where Van Helsing is, I think, before I make that determination. But assuming, oh wait, I was looking at the stream. If you look in the actual game, They're here. So we have, I think this really incentivizes, like Spain or East. That's my guess. Spain or East.
Can't go
Hmm.
I.
wrong with good old
Okay, considering
Austro-Hungary here. Yeah.
Mhm.
I have not seen any of Donald Jack's games before. I there are only so many streams you can watch at once, you know. And so, and as for TDG, I know that he's a decent player on either end. He uh, but so since since Donald Jack is relatively new, at least I know from the records that Scottsword told us that it showed us that Donald Jack, at least until the Donald Jack versus TG, or the other Donald Jack, or Donald Jack versus OC, was it? Where he commented that
Mm-hmm.
one of them is going to get their first win. I don't.
Oh, here's
I
hired scouts.
I would
Day
guess
one.
that it's gonna be something of a classic Athens. If I
Okay.
were to,
I'll put you down for an Athens.
You don't like
Pizza
do the
Wizard
hired scouts
hedging
this
his
early.
Pizza Wizard hedging his bets like a classic Fury of Dracula spectator. I think he could be here or maybe this other
Okay, if I had to put
place.
my money somewhere, he's in the East. I think he's Constanta. 17.
Snuffleupagus says
17.
Cagliari or Bucharest. I don't think it's Cagliari, although I do appreciate his sense of humor.
uh, I mean, I don't. Unless someone were so new that they didn't know that cards under a hide card don't mature. I don't. I have seen. Have absolutely no idea why someone would choose to start there.
I had a new player start at Cagliari and then immediately realized that's a mistake. I did. Don't worry, I won that game.
Yeah.
I hope you won the game if they started in Cagliari. I mean,
I thought it'd be just absurd.
Yeah,
I
it's interesting because when I first was beginning this game, I used to think that Cagliari, that's Space 13 for the viewers, I always considered that that would be a terrible place for Dracula to go, that he would never want to go there because it seems natural that why would he want to be there because he has to go right back to sea afterwards, and there's no way for him to create a trail there. It just seems like a really bad spot. It wasn't until later, as I started to get in touch with the community a little, that I realized it's actually one of the most frequented spots in the entire game by Dracula. There's almost always some point where if he's not there, it's at least suspected that he could be. And it's just because it's so difficult to get to in an efficient and a timely manner for the hunters.
it's like glitch on my end to be right back in.
Mm.
I mean back into the game. It, it so yeah.
a lot of Hunter's strategy is being able to move faster than Dracula, and because they can move faster, being able to like narrow down because they have to check a bunch of different spots because he has hidden movement. Sea travel is the one area where, except for excellent weather, hunters are exactly as fast as Dracula is.
Right. Yeah, you can't take advantage of any of your cards while you're at sea, event or
Except for
auto.
obviously, except for can you not use excellent weather while you're at sea? Do you have to be on land when you use it?
Yes,
Well,
actually.
in this edition, yes, and I would argue that also by the rules, I think that's accurate because by the rules, you can't do anything at sea other than move by sea. Now, if I'm sitting around the table with my friends and, they've only played this game once in their entire lives, I might let them get away with that because, it seems like you're at sea. It makes sense that you would be able to move by sea, only you're
It's
doing it
reasonable.
twice, right?
Yeah.
You're modifying it with card. So I wouldn't rules lawyer my friends over that one, but I also wouldn't argue with the way it's implemented in the game.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, but consider move on a little. Mina is definitely going to be hard to surprise.
What's
And
she
yeah,
holding on to?
she's been
Planned ambush.
fortressed with Godalming. Oh, she's planned ambush?
Yeah, and a
Ooh.
dog.
She is showing a planned out, and not only that, but a dog.
Adorable little puppy.
So she is definitely going to be
But
hard to surprise.
we didn't see a psychic scan, though. And I can tell because even though I was rambling, she's holding onto a train ticket. So there's no way there was a psychic scan.
So, yeah. I mean, that's not all that uncommon, this... I mean,
Yeah, I think as Dracula...
It's not all that uncommon to wait for it to do a psychic scan until she's gotten both her tickets.
I think, as the hunters, it's far better to psychic scan after Dracula has put down his first encounter, right? Because what good is it knowing where he started? It's far better to know where that first encounter is, right? Now, granted, it's technically more information to scan both nights, but you got other things you got to do. You got to get tickets going and all that. So, if you're gonna scan one of those 2 nights, I think it's better to scan after the encounter is placed.
Yeah,
and then you can scan Germany, and if it doesn't pick him up in Germany, you can say, all right, the vampire is not in Amsterdam, it's not in Hamburg, right? Just kind of a vague strategy idea. Let's say tomorrow he puts down a second encounter, right? Both Mina and Godalming could, theoretically, it's not likely to happen, but theoretically, they could even move to, say, 37, right? And they could scan Italy tomorrow night. And that would tell us that the vampire also isn't in Bari, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm starting to warm up to 38 for the 2 of them, because you could actually eliminate 2 regions like that.
See, the problem with that is you are losing out on the valuable supplies, right? Like, if you're
True.
moving both of them, you're losing two-day supplies, right? Which maybe that's fine, especially if you find him in Italy. That's a lot of information. But if you don't find him there,
in Germany. Yeah, exactly. You could even be moving further away from him if he's in the east. It's true. Risk and reward, but it presents a big reward potentially.
Basically, for me, the policy with Mina psychic scans, admittedly, when I'm hunters, I often put Godalming and Mina separate, and have not have someone with me at the beginning. Basically, that may give you some idea of how much I care for early psychic scans. My policy, however, when I do set them together and have that as an option, is the more recent the information, the better it is. The more valuable it is.
True. And we want to get the horses going as fast as possible, right?
How on earth did he get in here?
I don't know. Don't talk about it. Don't worry about
it.
Probably. Yeah, I put the password up on the stream like an idiot. Oh well, not a big deal.
It's fine. It looks like they subscribed to your belief though, because they did in fact scan night 1 when the first encounter was down,
did.
Which I think I agree with you on that point. I think that is the smart thing to do. So good on TDG.
Yeah.
What's he thinking about? I'm not just frozen, right? He's thinking about his Godalming move right now.
He's thinking. He's probably wondering how the troll got in here. That's on me.
It's like
he's up on things. What can you say? But yeah, so psychic scan means he wasn't in Germany. Now he's thinking, okay, so where did he go?
I mean, if you're probably going to supply, I assume, right? Unless you are going to do the move and scan idea.
I mean,
right?
You can suggest to TDG if he wants to just restart, because we are not really all that far into the game.
No.
Well, we're not going to let this person know. That gives this person way too much power.
That's
over
also
us.
not how it works. Yeah, this is a tournament game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder, like, do you ever move to like you were saying 37? You scan Italy, and then you know for sure he's not in Italy, and then if he's not in Italy and he's not in Germany, he's probably Far East or Spain for sure.
Right, at that point you can just like kind of go off of a hunch, and hopefully you'll be right. It's tough.
And also the problem with that is, I mean, the reason why my policy of the more recent the information, the better. I mean, perhaps even if you score a hit, that doesn't necessarily. Even if you don't score a hit on both, and when you do that, it's possible that, I mean, for all we know, that second encounter, or it could be Frankfurt, it could be Cologne, because it only says he's not there now. But it only says that he wasn't there. But
right. I mean, he could
It's
be
still
So-
information.
cheeky, be sneaking
Yes.
around it, right?
Yes, I've done so myself before, in fact. So there are so it's not the most, while it can help you narrow things down a little, it's, oh, that's,
Ooh,
okay.
local rumor is much more effective in 38 than it would be in 58, I think.
I will agree there. That hits 6 spots, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I mean, this early,
but I
maybe
mean,
not
why
that
would
good.
why would Dracula
Oh.
be in any of those spots anyway?
Okay, with 3 things down, unless he's precisely in Liverpool or Edinburgh, he didn't go for, and unless he did a hide, he's not up in Italy.
Mm-hmm. This
In England.
raises another
Did I say
interesting
Italy?
point in my mind. Is like,
Oh,
we got
hello.
Rufus Smith. Nice. With the early psychic scan, right? The early psychic bomb. Do you do that, or do you rush tickets, right? Like Snuffleupagus says in the chat, just get the tickets. Because like the more ticket polls you take, right, the better your chances. But I would also argue that, like, I don't know, they're not as important early as they are late, right? When you need them to actually kill Dracula. You're not going to kill Dracula from 15 health in the first week, usually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
it takes
maybe
very
that
extreme
information, the potential information gain in the long run might be better than, what's one more ticket poll when we could have the tickets potentially sorted out by next week, right?
I think that on that point, I've thought about that quite a bit actually. Because I do think that's a choice you got to make every game if you're starting the two of them together. Is do you scan? And I think if you're in 38, you definitely should scan on day 2, because I think that if you're going to put them both in 38, that is the benefit of putting both in 38. That you can scan day 2, you can know for sure he's not starting in 27-2 or any other city in Germania for that matter. If they're in 58, I don't think scanning Austria-Hungary is that good. In that case, I would just say ticket every day until Mina has 2 white ones, and then maybe you start scanning. Or until like the 3 white ones have been gathered by somebody.
Yeah, that's typically what I do.
Got a little
Trading
trade
happening.
going on, yeah. Maybe hooking her up with a knife or a heavenly host, or maybe even a horse.
Don't want to have too many good items on Godalming in case he draws 2 good items tomorrow.
Quite possibly he's going to have his personal houndmaster take those doggies from her, seeing as he sees how untamed they are.
Yeah, well, no, he left her with the dogs, but I agree. If you have Godalming take the dogs back, then he could potentially kick them or not, because they're for high value.
He can kick the dogs here.
Discard them. Yeah, he probably shouldn't kick a dog. That's a job for Dracula. He's the villain. Maybe Dio Brando.
In any event, he would tame them and give them and sell them out so that he can have
finding them
better.
a good home. Us discarding those dogs, we're finding them a good home. That's what we're doing every time.
Yeah, he puts them down on the spot. Whoa, look at this!
What?
Look at this!
Okay.
He has misdirected his first encounter card. I wonder if this was a mistake, or
I would imagine so.
Or if he's trying to be tricky, or what's going on here. This is very interesting.
Perhaps he backed himself into somewhere like Athens, where he asked to misdirect Valona to go back. He might have
made a bit of a rookie mistake and backed himself into a corner, precisely.
Yeah. I mean, that the fact that he misdirected the first one, it rules out the possibility of Ireland.
Or maybe it's like big brain strategy, where now newspaper reports still will not reveal him. What do you think about that? Right? Because newspaper reports tomorrow would reveal his starting location, but with the misdirect, there might be some obfuscation there regardless.
Yeah, I think that it's possible that that he's saying, okay, so I forgot to misdirect that I forgot to misdirect my starting location, so therefore I'll misdirect the location.
Right. It's totally possible.
That the immediate function of the newspaper would do.
Playing the devil's advocate a little bit. I'm not saying I necessarily subscribe to that kind of play, but You know,
Nor
you
would
watch
I.
somebody else play, you try to figure out what's their plan.
You have shown me the power of the misdirect, or like manipulating when the newspaper, like for example, making sure that the fifth encounter is going to be your hide when the newspaper reveals it, so they don't really know where you've gone. You've shown me that, something I never really saw before.
Tough to pull off.
Gyro. But I think the value of that first encounter it's really high in my mind.
You can't misdirect the location associated with hide, so the only way to do that is to mature a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
It's very tough.
Really got me the one time I saw you do it though.
I don't know. So twists and turns with the newer players. We've already had one. That's not something you see like ever. Very very strange indeed.
Yeah, we've already got some unprecedented stuff happening. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Stake discarded.
Snuff says,
discarded.
if you didn't have a good encounter to throw down, it might have been worth it. Yeah, that's possible. You never know when Dracula could start with saboteur, spy, wolves, rats, and another wolves. So let's say.
Or for that matter, in one of my games, when I was Dracula versus Altaris in this tournament, I started off with a double desecrated soil, double rats, and a spy. I think was my best thing to lay down.
Oh, Sister Aggie.
Oh,
lots
boy.
of allies in that top 15 cards of that event deck. That's 2 out of the 3.
Yeah, and that's already.
That's
and
great.
And that sort of thing, since he's choosing the ally, that's kind of why you want to search with the allies this early in the game.
Possibly didn't have any.
Yeah, it's tough. It's always tough because you draw your ally and you haven't drawn any others yet. How do you know you're going to see any of them? How do you know that you should search when there's so few spaces on the trail?
That is, of course, very true. In the case of Harker, it's simple. If you begin early on and you haven't found a newspaper,
of course,
use him as an ally. That's his very purpose.
One thing I have considered is the possibility that perhaps the game could be even better if the hunters had one more ally. And the reason I say that is just because, I don't know, it might be too good. Don't get me wrong. Like, it needs to be tested. It might be way too strong. But it never feels good when you have, like, double surprising return and one ally or no ally. You know, or you have, like, one ally, but you don't get any of the others out or at the right time. I don't know. I just feel like it could stand that maybe have one extra ally.
Well,
and Dracula's allies should be better too.
I may be true, but keep in mind that there are some Drac events that can remove the hunter's allies.
That's true, and they could get them back.
So from the designer's perspective, those would be happening more frequently, and therefore you would simply get back the one that you got. Likewise, there's good luck. There's the good luck event that can remove Dracula's ally. So from their perspective, there would be a lot more.
It could be too strong because surprising return is, and this is something Wakazik opened my eyes to, but that I've also learned from experience is that surprising return is one of the best cards in the game. It really is. There's a reason that it's hard to use. It's because it's so strong. It needs to be hard to use in order to balance it because it's actually one of the best cards in the game.
If you don't even think about the allies' effects and just think about the ability to search one space, any Duskardon that you want, like that you can hold on to essentially and do that, that ability alone is huge. And then you pull in, like, you can have the Rufus Smith and then get the Sister Agatha back for her ability when you were going to get into a fight, and it gets even better. I agree that there's sometimes some tension between searching and allying allies depending on whether or not you have surprising returns. But I think they're already strong enough with three allies. I don't think they need a fourth.
And on top,
well, don't get me wrong. I would include some kind of commensurate balancing measure in this hypothetical, right? I'm not just saying, buff them and don't even consider anything else. Not in a vacuum. Right, just the idea that maybe it would smooth out the gameplay a little.
And on top of all that, when you think about it, what would said fourth ally do? We already have one that influences combat. We already have that one that influences is getting knowledge from the trail, and we already have one of the impulses to sea travel.
Well,
What would the third one do? What would the
I don't
last
know
one
if this is the time or the place for that kind of theory crafting, but yeah, you're right. I did start it. um, I just consider the overall number of cards, right? Because there's 2 surprising returns and 3 allies. So your chance of drawing an ally isn't even much higher, really, than drawing a surprising return, right?
Rumor tokening his third thing. So maybe this was the plan. He didn't have a good encounter for the first base. Had a good one for the second one.
This
Therefore,
looks like,
misdirected the first one. Give him the second
yeah,
one, the rumor token.
yeah. This looks like it was
Yes.
concocted.
Very. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, we'll see what happens.
And
Yeah,
I know
he's-
maybe I'm coming off as like argumentative, shooting down every idea you have, Captain Gyro, and I'm not saying they're bad ideas. I think that it's good to have a conversation where we have a real conversation. We discuss the pros and cons, and I do think that it's good that we have people like you, because that's how we come up with new strategies, right? Is when we bring up the things that everyone else maybe takes for granted. I think it's how we come up with creative new ideas.
Oh, yeah.
Something I've sort of lacking in.
Surprising return is, yeah, it wins games. Just the ability to, because Dracula can only obfuscate for so long, right? When he's in 36, oh, he could be anywhere. But after you've checked 54 and 60, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, he really can't be anywhere. He's in one of like a handful of spots. And then you use surprising return, and all of a sudden he's cooked.
Yes.
Yeah,
Before that,
like,
would definitely be.
As Dracula, you're
actually brings back
Oh.
memories.
Whoa.
It actually this conversation brings. What the?
Look at this! Look
Is
at
this
Did we
this!
another-
miss something? Did
No,
you find out
no,
that he
I don't.
was
I don't
drowned?
think we
No.
did miss anything. I think Dr.
No,
Stewart
that was
just
just a-
decided to move to 36 to check it.
I think not so much to check it. I think is to eventually meet up with Gul'dan to trade.
Right? Yeah.
The horses have been awkward or something. Like Seward has 2 horses, maybe. You want to get him to deal with
Something
people?
like that.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess.
Yeah.
Okay. However, that is definitely very excellent information.
Oh heck yeah! I mean,
It's
now
scary,
you know
though.
this rumor token really can't be too far.
Although, mind
I
you,
mean-
Marseille, wolf form's worth away from Marseille. That's a tough one.
No, he didn't wolf form.
He's just moved 2 spaces. So
I-
Barcelona, maybe 4.
Oh, 2 spaces.
I-
Yeah, I mean, what's the furthest it could be? 4, 48, 57? You've got people in position to get to all those locations. It's not
I'm not-
41
I'm not
because
saying
they
that's
already
I'm not
checked
saying
that.
that's not true, but I'm saying that it's not like, oh, hey, we found his current position. Now we know exactly where the rumor token is.
No,
But
no,
think
they
that
don't know
that's-
exactly, but they have a pretty good
Yeah.
idea.
I think
Okay.
this is a scary fight for Seward. He's only supplied 4 times, so he has 4 items, yes, but they could be anything. He could have no combat items right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is
I
a
think-
scary fight, I think, for the hunters.
So obviously he has some sort of combat event that could help him.
Or
He's-
is a newspaper potentially?
Garlic
Oh,
Reef.
Garlic Reef.
There's your combat event right there.
Oh,
It's an event when it's played.
Because it's so infrequent, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so he has
2
punch
combat.
dodge escape and 2 additional cards.
And Sister Agatha. so
Sister
maybe
Agatha's
it's a
in
little bit less scary
play
than I
Yeah.
while
thought.
he wears
Yes.
Garlic Reef.
I mean, I suppose just as well now that that he did take it as an ally.
Dracula could be damaged here.
I honestly
Potentially significantly.
I honestly expect him to be damaged somewhat because what he wants to do is Drac. Ideally, this early on, you likely want to escape his bat, yes?
Especially from Marseille. Marseille is such a good...
Yeah.
Like, moving 2 spaces away from Marseille is amazing.
Precisely.
Yeah,
Hence my earlier point of the rumor token may be a little difficult to find.
Craig Keane, maybe he was sneaking into the boot. Maybe he was sneaking out of the boot. That's possible too. He could have been going down into Italy or up and out. We're not
if
sure
he
yet.
escapes, he could potentially run into a
Crucifix.
mechanic.
Ooh, that's not
Positive
good.
crucifix. That's like the danger. I mean, or strength, I suppose, would be bad, but that's exactly what we don't want to see.
exactly how you punish crucifix. That's the best card to do it with.
Yeah, that's ouch.
I was gonna say I didn't think John Stewart was in any danger of dying, but now that he's taken 4 damage, maybe I was
Yeah.
thinking that too soon.
Yeah.
And there goes the Garlic Wreath, of course.
Oh, and the Garlic Wreath is
Yes, it's
gone.
been
Oh
clawed off of him.
no.
He made the mistake of, see, when you play the Garlic Wreath, you have to almost assume the vampire is going to play claws, right? Or strength. But the whole point of Garlic Wreath is to bait his reaction, right? To try to get him to claw it off of you or get him to play strength. Anything but fangs, right?
If you're playing I think it's not unreasonable to expect to mesmerize and play the crucifix against mesmerize,
Yes.
Agreed.
maybe, and then.
Or
Yes,
or worst case
I
scenario,
agree
he
on that
strengths
one.
you and you lose your crucifix. Not that big a deal. Yeah, agreed. No, it wasn't a bad crucifix. I don't mean that. It's just that sometimes when you play the Garlic Wreath, you have to think to yourself that, like, Dracula's not going to fang. So what is he going to do, and how do you benefit from that? How do you narrow his decisions?
Well, now Seward's mesmerized. Do you
Mhm.
go for the bite here? Because you're going to take damage overall because the healing happens before the Sister Agatha damage.
Yeah.
I don't
On the
think you
other
do go
hand-
for the bite. I think you go for the escape.
Especially since there is the possibility that he could do a crucifix again. I would say no. No fangs yet.
He could have a real weapon. He could have, like, a knife in there to counter and escape his bat.
I'd be so surprised if he didn't have something.
Oh, could
I
have something
honestly-
to counter escape his bat, indeed.
I was half expecting. I was actually half expecting that because he's not had time to filter stuff.
Exactly. It's
So
like
I was
Pizza
actually-
Wizard said,
and-
he's just been working with what he found.
Yeah, and honestly, so honestly, Seward of all people is relatively likely to have one of those this early. Goldalming won't because he'll he'll likely filter it out almost immediately. Seward is the person that's you're most likely to see that on.
And he took a gamble there. He had that. He could get out anytime he wanted. He gambled that Dracula would play mesmerize and he'd get 3 damage on him, right?
Mhm.
That's why he didn't use it immediately, because he had assumed that he would get quote unquote 3 free damage.
Yeah.
He could have left turn 1 if he wanted to.
No, that wasn't a bad move.
Yeah, I definitely would have. I definitely wouldn't have used it right away either, because you would prefer to be able to just
we don't know what else he has, right? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Actually, we
go
do.
on.
He had only two things: the Holy Circle being one of them, and the Crucifix being the other.
Oh, that was it. You're right. Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe it was best to just call it, and get out of there
Yeah,
while you still
I
can.
think that-
No
I
point in
think
punching
that's-
him. And
I think that since Mesmerize is such a common first thing, and you influence him into doing that, I think that playing Crucifix round 1 was not the worst of ideas.
No.
But I think that when that failed, I think that he should have done it round 2.
I think there was maybe a little bit of greed there and thinking he could maybe get away without using it and save it for potentially tomorrow if he's
and
going
I
to
mean,
try
he
to go
was
after
right.
the Seward
Dracula
again.
mesmerized him.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out for him.
Yeah.
It worked
He
out for
was
sure.
probably trying to bait a knife or a rifle, matter of fact. Now I think the hunters are in good position though, because
Whoa.
with
See.
I actually expected that. I honestly did. I was gonna say, because a wolf form here is almost way too obvious. Way too obvious. Like, where are you gonna go? 20, 41, 48 or 4, not. Like, all the hunters are positioned to catch you immediately after that.
Yeah, so that worked out for the Hunters.
Yeah, I think it really
it's-
does, because
I mean, especially since
they've
of all,
driven him to sea.
Yeah, especially since that was Seward that ended up doing that.
Yeah, he can
Time
heal
to deal with
twice as
that.
fast.
Yeah, and he's already healed half of the damage he took. So,
I agree with you that I think that we're in a good position for the Hunters now. I don't agree that I think he needed to go to sea. I think that the Hunters are ill-equipped to deal with Dracula right now. I don't even know if they want to fight him. I mean, Sister Agatha makes it better, yes, but they've only gone halfway through the item deck. They were moving to get together because I think they wanted to do some sort of a trade. I don't know if even if he, like, wolf formed, I don't know if they necessarily try to chase him today.
But Dracula doesn't know that. Dracula, I mean, for all he knows, there's going to be a renewed vigor tomorrow, and they can jump on him in 4 with, like, a sense of emergency, and there's 3 hunters right there. Even Van Helsing's not that far away. With a renewed vigor, he's in 29, and then he's in 48 by rail.
Okay, so yeah, it was trading purposes that drove him to Marseille.
I agree there is some
And
risk there, but
his only
So-
sneaky
so here's-
options were
here's
landmarks.
my
51,
standing.
51, 42, 8, 57 maybe.
He could have gone to Munich, which they just vacated.
Gone to
But
Barcelona,
but
gone to
then
48.
he'd have to go to sea anyway. It very likely soon. I mean, like you said, they're not actually that well prepared, but he might not realize that, and he might be thinking
Yes.
better to wolf form from sea than to wolf form and then go to sea, right?
My personal opinion on the matter is, yes, I agree that it would have been better to wolf form, but from a beginner's perspective, but since we are dealing with quote unquote beginners, Donald Jack likely he thought that we best get away. That's not worth risking that.
I don't think it was a bad move.
I personally think it. In his position, I would have wolf formed down to Spain, because the fact that Seward went down then and Godalming, it was obvious to me that they were trying to organize a trade.
Yeah, agreed.
So
Spain might have been the better move.
Yeah,
but I don't hate this because when you leave,
I would have gone down to 48 and then just start dancing around in the then gone Madrid, so that they would just have to do a guessing game on where I went next. And
on
then,
the plus side, at least when you leave from 36, you're hitting the Mediterranean, right? Which is a good sea to leave from, because you can threaten Ireland with 2 more spaces, or you can threaten Salonika, Sofia with 2 more spaces, right? You can head east or you can head to Ireland, and those are opposite ends of the map.
And
yeah,
and to a point, we have seen both Rufus Smith and Agatha this game, but currently Agatha's the one in play. So I think C movement looks more appealing given that the anti-C guy isn't in play right now. So
as opposed to getting in a big fight.
Right, with Sister Agatha out. So I think the key thing is the hunters are maybe a little bit off balance, and I wonder if how long he's going to be at sea. Is this going to be a long sea journey, or is it going to be like a 3 or 4 sea journey? We'll see.
If I were him, I'm heading to the Ionian.
Yeah, I would expect 3 seed movements. Yeah. I suppose possibly 4 if you wanted to bluff Black or Adriatic versus North, or English Channel or Irish Sea.
That's too much sea movement, though. It's not necessary, because the obfuscation between North Atlantic and Ionian is basically just as good.
Yes, but does he know that?
Right.
And you can't. If you move 4, you can land in England, right? If you move 3, you can't. I think there is
that's
some
true
benefit.
too.
You can stay in England longer than Ireland.
That's kind of why I think he might think that way.
That's a good point.
Since he would have the, and of course then if he does go all the way to North Sea to land / wolfform land there, then then of course there's the good old CG bomb, which is why, and that is precisely why I think that the best move for him at that point was to go for the wolf form Saragossa and then start trouncing around Spain for a while, draw them in.
Agreed, because they could have maybe caught up with him, but they would have had to prove it, as opposed to going to sea, which.
Now he's just
depending on how long he's at sea here, this could set him up for a really tough second week.
If the vampire matures, I agreed that the hunters are in better shape because he went to sea rather than wolf forming. But
Athens says the chat. What do you think, Pizza Wizard?
I think that I didn't think about the fact that there's still rumor token on the board. So normally when Dracula goes to sea, most of the time I'm pretty happy about it because it means I can kind of sit and supply. But with there being active encounters on the board, the hunters can't do that. They have to also try to think about where these are, which makes the sea movement better than I originally thought. So I'm thinking it's better than I thought. It's actually pretty good because they really want to find this rumor token, right? They want to find it.
Right. I think it's in 51.
My guess would be, since
it could be 39.
Wrong, there is an evil presence on that day.
There was an
Oh,
E.
true.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bordeaux was
Because
in.
Seward was in
Seward was
Bordeaux.
in Bordeaux.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Paris.
Paris.
It's just a bit off.
If it wasn't 51, it was 42. That makes sense.
42 into most likely Clermont-Ferrand.
Pres- Presumably, he planned to check that too, because he could have moved by rail more than one space. So that's a good call by TDG to check it.
Well
with Van
observed.
Helsing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also it's just a big city, closer to your allies, so this makes sense in general as Van Helsing's move.
Could have railed to like Marseille, for example, right? If he just wanted to get like close to everybody else. But I like. I mean, obviously, it's worked out great here. He found the rumor token, which was, I think, a huge threat. I wonder
Yeah.
if he doesn't have a stake because he's moving Mina there. If they want to fight together, maybe.
I mean,
Or
it's
if Mina has the
possible.
stake.
I mean, it's possible also that there's some. I mean, she just showed a horse. Maybe she has a third one. Maybe we need to do some trading, and more than one spot.
Yeah, I mean, depending
This
on what they
early is
have,
your-
I like the idea of moving Van Helsing to 42, and then if the vampire isn't there, you could have Mina check 51, right?
I mean, this early, it's too. I would say it's too early to say. I mean, although speaking of stakes, we do have one of the discard along with two heavenly hosts.
Double Heavenly Host discard's interesting. It makes me think probably no CG has been drawn yet. Or I guess the first one was discarded so early that you wouldn't have any idea of whether you're going to get CG. But, It's definitely
I'm one who, even if I draw CG relatively early, I will at least consider discarding them in just in favor of like. I mean, you've seen what's happened when folks go around with conventional weapons, right? I mean, I will almost never go around without a conventional weapon, and if that means I have to discard a heavenly host, then it's like, for me it's like, sigh, it's for the best against most scenarios.
I do think it's been Godalming discarding the Heavenly Host, so I do think it's very possible that he's discarding them because he has better items in his hand, right? Because he gets supplies twice as fast,
Got
so it
like
makes
a horse
sense.
and a knife, probably.
Yeah. Maybe a stake as well he was holding on to in case the vampire ended up being, like, in Italy. Like 57. I guess 57 would have been risky. Although then that was Evil Presence. Evil Presence would have marked that, so I guess it was 20 was the only really chance it was in Italy. And local rumors. Yeah, there was a lot happening in 38.
Yeah, but I mean, Paris was a good check because you have to consider where were the hunters when Dracula put down that rumor token, right? And would he have actually gone to 20 in order to do that, right? Like, none of that seems to check out. What do you think about it? Why would Dracula, like, start in Italy, put down a rumor in 20, move to 25, and then 36? Like, sure, that's possible. It's entirely possible. But you're trying to put together a picture of what this guy's actually doing. And sneaking through France to wind up in Marseille makes a lot more sense.
I wonder if they originally planned to wolf form from Marseille before they were discovered, right? Because if they had wolf formed the day after, they would have been perfectly positioned to knock it off the trail if Paris matured.
Yeah. Yeah, he certainly didn't expect to be discovered there,
I think
but that's the risk when you're in 36 and Seward is in 8.
Yeah.
I think you might be fine with taking that fight most of the time against Seward that early. I mean, obviously, depending on, you don't know what Seward's drawing, you don't know if Strike doesn't play yet, but I don't think that's the worst fight ever. If it's only Seward, I think if you get a second person there, like, let's say Mina can horse down to 36, then it's very bad.
Yeah, that definitely changes things.
It still seems like very, very high traffic area to go for Dracula. When you could instead have gone, like, you know, from 42 you could have gone 24, 15, 54, that kind of thing. But I don't know. You put a vampire in 42, which is already pretty, like, out there. That's kind of crazy. So one of the
like making
most
Marseille
able
a layer.
to get to places for the hunters.
Like,
yeah,
you have a good point that I think is high traffic, but
point.
if you can make it a layer and like put a reckless or something there, and they keep walking onto Marseille, I mean, you can get a few points that way. Although you're using a reckless to do it, is it really worth it? Or like just put a bats there and then you get value.
Bats in 36 is like as tried and true as fog in 55.
Fog in 55, good times. Fog in
55. Shut up.
They didn't deal with Paris last night. Did they? Did they do something? What did they do?
I'm guessing that neither has a stake and they don't want to risk a night fight.
Gives them
Maybe,
twice
yeah.
the chance to supply and find one today, I suppose. Because only one's been discarded, so if there's 2 or 3 left in the deck, there's a decent chance they draw one today.
If I had to guess, Goldaming is holding on to one of said ones because he was the one who discarded said stake.
And let that be a lesson to Dracula's. Don't put your rumor vampires down in a big city that's easy to get to. I'm not saying you can never do that or anything. I mean, I'm not giving this guy a hard time either. Experiment, go crazy, do different things. But generally speaking, your vampires are better off in a small city that's out of the way rather than a big city that's sort of easy to get to. Because if they can get to it easily, they might get to it with enough time to spare that they can supply for items, and then that makes killing it much easier.
Yeah, so considering that the evil presence went off before the thing after parents happened, was laid down. It's possible that it's Clown Friend. They will have to play something of a guessing game for that.
Right, 15 or 24.
So the second thing might mature. I mean, mind you, since it's after a vamp, quite possible that it's like something like rats.
Well, if neither of them gets delayed here, then the two of them can just both check 15 and 24 while the other two continue to supply.
Yes, although I'm inclined to believe, that we're going to be having is this going to be a deduction?
Wax cylinders.
I mean, that can only be 4 deductions.
Yeah,
It's a new
okay,
vampire
alright.
in question. So it's a new vampire in question.
Knowledge
there.
is power. That's not. I mean, if he
Yeah.
doesn't have. Well, actually, I mean, whether he has a stake or not, that might be a good move because he's trying to figure out is it worth the stake or do you just delay
Yeah,
it?
this is definitely worth a stake if you have it. Although, if you do have a stake, do it by night.
True.
However, if not, then what I would do is I would have Van Helsing supply, and then have Mina do the search so that they can both fight. Okay.
Oh, we're going for the daytime fight. Now,
Yeah.
will Mina
Maybe there is
become
no stake.
delayed?
Yeah.
Oh, these are my favorite. I love these. Let's go.
This will be interesting.
Garlic Reef.
Didn't know you were a fan of the new vampire fight.
Oh, I love the 2-on-1 new vampire fights. They're just so fun.
Spending the planned ambush. I'm not sure that was all that necessary, considering that you have a 2v1, both of them in full health.
I don't know, Fangs of Fire. You know how tenacious these things can be. You leave them at 1 health, they get away as a mist.
I mean, their hands still might not be great. They've been moving a lot. Like, they've supplied a decent amount, but they haven't supplied to the point where I think their hands are, like,
Plus,
perfect.
remember the fact that it's a 2-on-1. Because it's a 2-on-1, the planned ambush's power is actually amplified. It becomes even stronger, I would say.
Why is that?
Well, the reason for that is because whichever hunter plays the planned ambush, you can almost guarantee that the vampire isn't going to attack that hunter, because the hunter will just replace the card they played with a new card that counters the vampire's card. And yes, that gets into like, well, what if the vampire plays strength? You have to have heavenly hosts in order to deal damage, but that's just sort of a broad generalization. As the vampire, you're very much disinclined to attack the person who played planned ambush, because it seems very unlikely that you're actually going to be able to win that combat round. And so it's much easier to say, well, I'll go for the person who didn't play planned ambush, and then the person who did play planned ambush gets free damage through.
Ooh.
As opposed to
Helsing has a pistol.
You play your planned ambush, and then you know, Dracula throws strength, and then you have to go, oh crap, there's nothing I can do.
I wonder if there's a holy bullets on Van Helsing. I don't think have any been discarded.
So she's gonna switch to a punch.
Not that I can recall, but
mesmerize.
Either a punch, or if she has potentially a heavenly host.
Yeah, mesmerize is a good safe opening.
That would be the last of the 3, but
you either force her to punch or force her to use up one of the heavenly hosts.
Either that or Holy Circle if it's an offensive battle.
I do wonder about playing the garlic here as the when you play Planned Ambush, because it reveals what your
Yes.
other Primate item
Yeah,
is, rather than
yeah.
playing
Yeah,
like any of the default cards.
Best to play a
Yeah,
default
that's
card.
been
Agreed.
discussed. That's been and happening in quite a few tourney games.
Hmm.
In general, it's best to start with just dodge, escape, a punch,
Yeah.
so that because now Dracula knows exactly what Mina's combat hand is. She has no knife.
Yep.
If
Right.
she had
She won't
done,
deal damage this turn because she only has I guess she could punch, but she won't like be weaponing this turn.
Yeah. The way to think about it
Yeah.
is, if you play Planned Ambush, and you need to throw garlic, well, you're going to be able to change it to garlic. So don't throw your garlic. There's no reason to yet. Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe it's intuitive. You play your defensive item, and then if they don't attack you, you play the offensive thing with Planned
Right.
Ambush. I think maybe that's the line of reasoning that TDG was going down.
perhaps,
What's
but
the best card to play as the vampire against Planned Ambush? Most people, I think, would say
Ooh.
plotting, because it forces the hunter to either let you have the plotting or just throw a weak punch,
either that or
disregarding
pistol.
pistol. Of course, it could always
Yeah.
be pistol with holy bullets.
I think it really depends on what they have in their hand, right?
Speaking of
of
plotting,
which,
exactly.
On a dodge.
yes,
Yeah,
he
you
scores
love
a
to see
hit
that.
there. So he scores a success there.
So perhaps their hands are not that good because they're not like
Being
Mina
all,
for sure
they're
is up
not
enough.
being
They're
all
waiting until
that.
they can both play weapons next turn, maybe?
Yeah, I hope that Mia did a punch.
We'll see.
Nope.
Ooh. Okay, defensive, it's fine.
Okay, so that's the win. That's a round one for the vampire.
I think it really depends on plotting is less good in the 2v1 because it can only block who you're engaged with. It can't block the other one. So I mean it's still
Definitely
really good,
true.
obviously.
I mean, definitely true, but it's a round that they spent doing no damage to it. He kind of assumed that it would target Mina this time.
The dodge was Van Helsing as well. I think maybe he's just hoping that sorry.
He was
I should
No,
remember
Jack.
he was taking
John
my
O'Jack.
advice.
Yeah.
He was taking my advice, Pizza Wizard. He wanted to ensure that the vampire did not suck either of their blood and regain 2 hit points.
That's true because Sister Aetha only works on the man himself. She doesn't care about
That's
these
correct.
minions.
They're beneath her. She's got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. I do wonder what Van Helsing's last combat item is here, because I think if it's not a damage dealing weapon, I don't know how they kill this vampire. I think it's gonna be tough.
Can escape in the next round, yeah.
Oh?
Okay, fangs and okay, so
That's a wash.
that's
Unless
Well,
there's actually not. He's mesmerized,
yeah,
right?
he's mesmerized, so the pistol will be 1-1.
Oh, that's
Holy
unfortunate.
bullets. Holy bullets.
Answer no.
Sad.
Not this time.
And as for Mina, yep.
Would have been a dead vampire there. Oh, she could have holy bullets. Wait.
No, she horsed.
Oh, sad. Well, they were trading or something, right? I thought there was a chance maybe they traded around. Aruk was saying in chat they traded, so I thought maybe.
Well, she was still
Trading
showing the
around.
horse, so that was ruled out, unfortunately.
Man.
So now it's
Sorry, it's
Dracula.
Fair
You
enough,
know
man.
that Mina Harker
I know,
has a
I
garlic.
know how much you love it, but
Well,
so
I don't know how they're gonna kill it here without it. It feels really tough.
I mean, if Van Helsing has a heavenly host now, the last of the three.
What does Van Helsing? That is the question.
The
Thanks,
vampire
Fire.
could use
What does
either
Van Helsing
escape
have?
against Mina Harker and get away.
I mean,
this
it
round.
could be. I mean, there's also the possibility that it could be a knife, and that
Be a
might
knife?
help get the damage in
Mm-hmm.
if so long as Mina punches.
Does the vampire play aggressive, or do they just escape and force them into the night fight?
It played plotting, and it still hasn't played a single strength. I would, if I had the strengths, I would let them both rip right now.
Ooh.
And okay, so it's
Another
another
rifle.
firearm. No, okay, so it's a pistol and rifle on Van Helsing, and a rifle and rifle and garlic on Mina. I hope she punched. Yes.
Yeah, but going aggressive is paying off here. He's dealing a bunch of free damage to Van Helsing, right? And he's where he was before that turn. He's back to 3.
Well, let me ask you
Wait, no,
this.
So that was that was moot in the sense that basically that was as good as a strength on Van Helsing.
How much life does the vampire have right now? 3. How much blood has it
Yeah.
sucked this combat?
They use both the fangs, I believe.
And they
Yes,
both
they have.
both went off. The vampire sucked 4 blood this combat. That means you've effectively been fighting a 10 health vampire. It's almost as tough as Dracula.
Yeah, you just gotta kill these things in the first few rounds.
You can't let them suck your blood. It's their victory condition. It's how
That's
they.
why knife is so good.
Yes, it's why it's the best card in the game. Agreed.
Yeah.
And it's a weapon.
I think if knife did 2 damage, it would still be the best card in the game, except for holy bullets. Like, holy bullets would be better.
Except for holy bullets.
Holy bullets would be holy bullets would be slightly better because the swing of 5 damage compared to 2 is massive. But yeah, the way things are now, like
I think that things would change that people would discard knives so as to have rifles to use that.
Don't get me wrong, I think knife is actually, the more I think about it, knife is actually well balanced. The problem is the guns. They need to be better balanced against Dracula's trail, right? And if you'll indulge me, I'll explain by what I mean.
There are some cards that are specifically countered by guns, right? Like Saboteur, I suppose only Saboteur.
Saboteur is specifically countered by either gun. Also, rats are specifically countered by either gun. But that's it. And also, those are Dracula's 2 worst cards in the game. And revealing a gun doesn't even cancel them. Like, you still take the damage from rats, and you still become delayed from Saboteur. It just clears them up. Which is nice.
Alright, take 2.
Night fight? Here we go.
And you're going to delay Van Helsing, so he loses a day action as well. This is rough. I mean, Van Helsing no longer mesmerized, at least, so if he can get his... If the vampire has a bad hand, for example, they could maybe get it out at the beginning. It's like, double plotting 3 escapes is possible.
Yeah,
and
here
on
we go.
and on the plus side, Van Helsing, the fact that Van Helsing is, I mean, even if he were still in 1 claw equals your death range, he is armed with 2 firearms, and therefore I doubt that the vampire would dare claw against him.
No.
Yeah, it's because no matter what, unless he were to strength some of them first, he would always have 1 available.
Captain, I think the way guns have been balanced in this game, I think you could make a full video talking about how they could be better. Like they could counter imagine if guns countered spies specifically, right? Instead
something
of
like that, perhaps.
Yeah,
now it's tricky because it's all when you talk about that, the first thing people are gonna say is like, "Oh, this is nerf to Dracula, man." And it's like,
Dracula's already.
Get it. Now, we're not talking in a vacuum here. Maybe you give Dracula a little something in exchange for this. But, on the whole, yes. I think that, like, the developers had the absolute correct attitude and mindset and spirit in terms of they thought to themselves, any weapon is useful against Dracula's encounters. But specifically, guns are really good against Dracula's encounters. And that's because knife is good against Dracula. And so that balances that. Yeah,
the 2 encounters they picked are the worst ones, right?
Right.
So you don't really care if you don't have a gun.
It doesn't do quite enough. There isn't. My ideal situation is where, punch into strength. Okay, that's nothing.
Yeah,
that's just.
I can definitely see why he would do that. He was probably expecting that strength.
Ooh.
All right. Okay.
If he doesn't have a fang here, he's dead, right? Double gun.
True, and you obviously don't fang Mina because she has garlic. But Van Helsing has a gun.
I mean, even for that matter, even with a fang, double gun would take it down.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're clearly right. If they double gun here, they have it dead. Nice. They might lose a gun to a strength, but I think that's worth it.
Oh yeah, you're right. I didn't even think. You're right. They can just firing squad it right now.
Yeah. Because
But
Double
will he
punch, I think he
recognize
played it really
that?
well. The double punch was really good at the beginning because it stopped him from getting mesmerized if he played mesmerized, and he didn't lose anything to strength, and it got down to 2, where now the double gun will kill it. Like, what could Dracula have played against the double punch? I don't think. I guess fangs.
Even if he
Fangs,
fanged, well, even if he fanged, it would still, not be a great outcome for the vampire at least.
It'd be at 3. Yeah, I like double. I think TDG is playing. I kind of thought this vampire was going to mature, and I think TDG has played well to prevent it from doing so.
Yeah,
well
losing
observed.
one firearm, losing one firearm to a second strike.
Yeah, right. Is this the point where you just, as the vampire, you say, I'm just going to try to claw him, get damage out before I, go out with a bang? That's a good point.
I don't think so, considering that.
They both have guns, right? Maybe that's not smart.
I think that as the vampire, you would most likely want to just do a strength, except that you're gonna die, and simply, if you have a second strength, use it to just make sure that they have to pay the cost of the card.
Yeah, let's see if he recognizes and plays his guns. Here we go. Pap, pap!
Badang!
Oh,
Thou shalt not
man.
harm this lady.
We'll gun you down like a dog. Well played.
Excellent.
Nicely done, TDG.
Well done. Mind you, there was already the price that now they'll only be able to check one of the 2 spots with those 2.
Right.
For
delays.
But
it's interesting to observe that Mina had to become delayed initially, right? For the day combat.
Yeah.
And then they searched it at night, and Van Helsing became delayed.
Yeah, so it's also cost them 2 day actions as well.
But he didn't put himself in a situation where, it mattered too much, right? He didn't put himself in a situation where because somebody was delayed, they couldn't search the vampire, or they couldn't participate in the combat by becoming delayed, right? Because when you're delayed, you can't become delayed, so you can't participate in the combat.
Interesting. Yeah. It was well thought out.
Well handled. Exactly.
Yeah. So well done, TDG. That was definitely well orchestrated.
I think that is really a coup, because I assumed that vampire was going to go off when they didn't kill it during the day. I thought their day was their best crack at it, but they did enough damage, and then they were able to finish it. So when
they hung tough.
Well done.
Yeah, I mind you that vampires bought Drac quite a bit of time. So when
Dracula has made port.
I will say that if there weren't 2 heavenly hosts in the discard, I would be rather worried that there could be a CG bomb. But the thing is, if you chose Athens, there still could be a CG bomb.
Right. In 46, you're kind of safe from it. I guess if you're in Ireland, you're scared of the CG bomb.
I'm scared of it everywhere. I feel like 46.
Always
46 is so risky. Because think about, if I'm the hunters and I think Dracula is in 3 or 46, and I'm like fairly sure of it, you put CG down in 55. That way, all you need is 2 heavenly hosts in 50 and 46 to secure an error, even if he's in 3, right? If he just landed there.
In this situation, having seen 2 in the discard pile, we know that can't happen. So I think 46 would have been okay. Although I think the permanent CG token being at 55 is actually really annoying for like navigating the east at all. So I think maybe that would be bad. But then you could play the rest of the game with no CG, and think of how freeing that is, right? I mean, obviously you have to make your way back to that side of the map. But...
Right. Yeah, it's not possible with the number of heavenly hosts they have right now. And there's no reshuffle in sight.
Yeah, we're a bit away because they've been moving a lot, which and moving is fine. It just means they haven't gone quite as far as to the item and event deck yet.
Yeah, the worst is when you're Dracula and there's a bunch of CGs, or there's a bunch of heavenly hosts in the discard pile, and then they get the reshuffle right when you land, and then they draw them and CG you. It seems to work out that way every time. Go ahead, Banks.
As amusing as more amusing to myself than anything, but if you were the hunters, how would you handle things right now? And you know that he's moved 3 C spaces. I think that Gul'dan's doing the right thing by. I would have Seward deal with Marseille, and then have Mina at least take a guess, if Seward has a horse, I would definitely use it and take the chance that you can guess the other one.
Yeah, you got to take a shot here.
Yeah.
You got to clear up the trail. I don't know. Dracula's not in a terrible spot. Like, they dealt with it.
Yeah.
They've suffered some consequences. It's just a little bit of damage.
Yeah, it costs them a lot of time,
But
and they have.
Dracula's significantly ahead of them. Yeah, if he's in the east or wherever he happens to be, England, what have you, he's got some.
Ireland.
Yeah,
can't
Ireland.
be England, but yeah.
It has to be Ireland specifically.
Right.
Which if he went south of land, which that's where he is if he went up that way, and it'd be kind of silly to.
It'd be crazy to land in 39.
Let me
right
put
now,
it
right?
this
That'd
way.
be
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. If I'm the
That'd be
hunters right now, what I do is draw an ally and then use it to search and then play
Either that or
surprising
draw a surprising
return.
return.
Yeah.
Hired
Bas-
scouts. I mean, there's
And
a lot
then-
of options for them.
And
to
then if
draw.
he's in say 23, he's dead if you have CG.
Okay, so apparently it's just gonna let whatever's in Marseille go, or in whatever's before Marseille go, as it turns out.
Right. I
Yeah,
do like the
I'm-
supply in this situation, but I think that the encounters on the trail we should have made a stab at that. Although I guess if it's a 50-50, maybe you're not confident in your ability to correctly guess, and you think I'd rather get guaranteed value. Because think about if Mina drew a hired scouts or not, right? Then you'd be excited. You'd be like, oh, this was amazing.
Well,
Stop
even
call.
with that, it'd be, and keep in mind that with 3 sea movements, there are only 3 possible harbors that he can be at, right now, since he didn't wolf more shore.
Theoretically 5, but 39 or 8.
Right,
Probably
but
not likely.
yeah,
Probably
exactly.
not. Probably not.
3 reasonable harbors.
Mhm.
And that's Galloway up in Ireland, 23, and then it's Salonika and Athens, 46 and 3, but down over in Baltica. Makeshift money trail.
Well, that's quite helpful. Makeshift money trail. I like that.
I was actually thinking of that as I was talking about the available ports.
Poor man's money trail. When you
Yeah, so
don't
that-
have the money for it, you know what's cheap? A 5-cent newspaper.
Neato.
Back then it was probably half a penny.
Yeah, I mean, and this is good for the hunters, right? Assuming whatever this encounter that matures, if this encounter that matures is like a wolves or something, I mean, it's some damage, sure, but I think that finding out that he's in the east today is really huge because now they can start moving that way.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that guarantees
this
that
is
either Salonika
enormous.
or since that unveiled Tyrrhenian, since he drew that today and not yesterday, he would Mediterranean Sea got flipped. Yeah, we knew that already. Thanks.
Yeah, this is enormous. I would be so excited.
The worry is
because
hoax, right?
Right, I would still try to clear this up, but now you can make all your plans. You can
Yeah.
decide, all right, somebody's going to clear this up, somebody's going to go to Marseille, somebody's going to start moving to 58 probably.
Yeah, I'm honestly not expecting anything spectacular.
I like how he's put his Dracula pin down as well.
Yeah, they were
in
making
Athens.
good use of the pins. So
I approve.
was
Yeah.
I
looking
need to
earlier.
get on this guy's level. Wow.
That does make it clear that he's well aware that it's either that Athens is at least a possibility, and that he knows that it was Ionian.
Then you start big braining Dracula and you
But the
put him
question
in the wrong
is-
place.
But the
Fool.
question is it that or is it Salonika? That's the only question that really needs asked right now. Apart from what are those last 2 encounters over here? If I had to guess, it's probably nothing all that amazing. I'm going to guess that it was Geneva because I'm not sure exactly where both local rumors got fired off. It's possible one was at Bordeaux, in which case Clermont-Ferrand also would have gone shown. So I think Geneva is probably the better
Geneva
guess.
makes sense because it would have been 2 spaces away from Dr. Seward rather than 1.
And likewise with Munich, and I don't know exactly where he was planning to go after Marseille. I'm not getting jumped on, but
Do you wolf form now as Dracula? I
And
wonder if
also-
Dracula understands the risk he took by not wolf forming initially.
Well, I mean, it's
Okay.
paid off, right? I mean, he's gonna be able to get to somewhere safer.
The event deck
Hopefully this
is
move.
still
in the event,
quite fat.
In the event that it's
That's
Salonica, then
one way of putting it.
in the event it's Salonica, I'd say that he would just move to Sophia, no real worries there. But if it's Athens, then there is still some danger.
Yes. That's
Yeah,
good.
there's a mob. Oh, ow.
That's not too bad of a
Okay,
card
that's
to get.
yeah, that's definitely medium for
Yeah.
something to mature.
Mid, as the kids are saying these days.
So it was Geneva, and that will affect. Oh, fortunately, that's Goldalming and Sewer.
We'll
Not,
get some damage through on the people who are on their way to come and kill you. So
Yeah, it's
that's
not bad at all.
fortunate.
Yeah, so that's not bad.
But it's
not a
unfortunate
hoax.
because they already have such a big effective health pool between the two of them, between the healing and the 11 HP for Godalming. So.
Yeah, so now they'll simply start, presumably at least some of them horsing, some of them maybe by rail.
Still, I'd rather
Start heading-
Godalming be at 8 health than 11. But yeah, I would try to move them both to 58 and heal tonight. Between the tickets and the two of
Do
them
they have
and
good tickets, or are they
horses,
holding white
maybe you
white
can
ones and
afford to
stuff?
do
Is the
that.
question.
Right.
I mean, I was willing to trigger the horses from Zurich to get up to Paris. So
Right, the
that
question
seems
is,
to
like,
say-
Who's
That's-
holding the bad tickets and who's holding good tickets is my question, right? Because they could potentially have been ticketing to get
True.
quote unquote bad tickets, and now they can't move. They don't have a yellow 2. They both don't have a yellow 2 at least.
I mean, if I were the hunters in this situation, judging by how people have been behaving,
Here we
I would
go.
have.
Oh.
I would have.
Ooh.
I mean, it's
Oh,
not
hunter?
terrible. You can still go to 57.
Yeah,
Right?
you're fine. It's fine.
And-
It's
and-
fine.
Yeah, and for that
I'm
matter-
definitely not screaming in anger or anything.
And for that matter, if there's an excellent weather,
Yeah,
they could,
good point,
they could
thanks.
just jump all the way over. They could jump over the. Adriatic.
Oh no,
Oh,
dear.
that's unfortunate.
That is
Because
not.
you need those horses now more than ever.
Right, you have no time. If that happened while he was at sea, you might have had a chance to like fish that back. But now, this is when you want to move. Not when you want to be sitting and ticketing and hoping to. I mean, at least the deck is close to reshuffling. So if they can like get Dracula to sea again, maybe they can reclaim the horse. Maybe.
Yeah, that's huge for
that's-
Dracula.
Yeah, that's highly unfortunate.
Yeah, the power of the horse is not just that you can move 2 spaces. Like, that's the big thing. People think 2 spaces is better than 1. That's true, but the power of the horse
is he
is that it
defending Marseille?
combos with renewed vigor. That's what
Yeah.
makes it so good.
Yeah, on top of that, and the thing is, it's possible, difficult but possible to rig your hunters to make it so that you're guaranteed to draw a 2 every single time.
That's true.
Goodness, horses just aren't willing to cooperate.
And that is 3 separate tickets we saw, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not going to say
Well-
he's not having bad luck. He could be very well having bad luck, but it also
Very
shows
true.
us that it's not just the same ticket that was unfortunately pulled every time. There's at least 3 out of 9 tickets in there that show a single 1.
Also, the gambler's mentality.
That's
I've
1
drawn
in
the
3.
white one once. Surely I won't draw it a second time in a row, right?
Well, think about
Surely.
this. Well, I mean, that means it's at least 1 in 3 chances of getting
You're
a
not
single
gonna
one.
actually get it.
And
That's
that's actually not great horse economy. Now, that's not necessarily his fault. Sometimes they don't cooperate.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just
I-
the math of it. Is that
I mentioned
you
that-
want
I
like
mentioned
1
to
in
you-
8 maybe.
I mentioned to you that yeah, it's entirely possible. I mentioned to you earlier when you were doing our audio tests that I played a game with Lukajic earlier and I didn't find the third white one until like Thursday week 3. I mean, goodness gracious, they can just be obnoxious.
Arukamania in the chat pointing out that trains can go 3 spaces. And you have to consider the versatility of the train. But but horses are not.
It depends on the region.
Are not limited to the train tracks. They're not locked to the train tracks, so they have a little more versatility there.
I mean,
Have we noticed that Marseille's been let go? Marseille's gonna mature? I
Yes.
don't know if we already covered this topic, but
Yes,
we're
I did.
letting Marseille mature?
They
I did
decided
mention
they're
that.
gonna let it mature, it seems.
I mean, had Mina rolled a 2, maybe he would have sent her down to destroy it.
He didn't ambush Seward with it. Oh, it was the bodyguards.
That's a little
that
more than mid.
That's something that's something that I tend to put down before my initial vamp if I have it.
Yeah, that's
So,
not a bad mature.
That's definitely a more powerful one.
I wonder why he didn't ambush Seward with it.
Well, perhaps for the typical reasons of wanting them to use an extra night action, things and etc.
I mean, it's just something to think about if you're gonna escape his bat, right? Because if you don't use the encounter, then you escape his bat, you lose it.
And true, and that could have helped him potentially kill Seward.
Right,
Yeah,
I was privately thinking in my head that it was going to be like a hoax or an aristocrat because I thought the fact that he didn't ambush was really weird. So I thought it had to be something like he couldn't ambush with. But
okay, so yeah, that's. Now that you pointed that out, I had for a moment forgotten that that was when they bumped into him. Yeah, so.
Yeah, bodyguards I think is a good mature. Wakazik pointed this out to me. Credit to him for this thought, but it's not just the reason it's so good is because it's like an extra encounter that you can just use in addition to another encounter. It's like a free encounter almost.
Right,
yeah,
and they don't have time to heal. It's 2 damage right before the fight.
Exactly.
Right when you want it.
And for that matter, like a hoax is kind of like a miniature Drac event. Miniature Drac planned ambush type thing.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that. It's almost like a Drac event. It's that powerful.
Because when it matures, it's a before combat you get to either deal either deal 2 damage and know what one of your opponent's weapons is, and ahead of time, or know that they are either unwilling to show a weapon, or don't have one and deal 4 damage instead. So that is actually pretty dang good.
Shameless self plug here, but yeah, Rukamania, reading your thoughts in the chat about the train tickets and the horse economy, and I agree 100%. And I've said this line a bunch of times, but it's about holistically trying to manage the ticket pool between the trains and the horses, not just trying to have perfect horse tickets, unless that's what you really need. And so the shameless self-plug part is, don't believe me, watch my video, Dr. Seward, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Train.
It's a good video.
You'll see how difficult it can be to get the horse economy to work for you, and then all of a sudden you can pivot a strategy over to trains.
Hashtag not sponsored. You didn't tell me to say this. I watched that video. It's really good. It's a really good video.
Appreciate it.
Oh, not a bad idea to do a scan tonight, because that would tell him if he's...
Ooh. 49. Yes, he said 49 or 6.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, that's not even terrible. And you could move them to 11 tomorrow potentially and do it again. And sort of hem Dracula in and drive him towards the sea. Maybe drive him out of there. Clear up the vampire.
And that is on the assumption that the tickets cooperate. And we have seen, since he hasn't done any ticketing since the last batch of horsing, there's at least a 33% chance. There's at least a 1-3 chance that that'll be only move 1.
Do we know why he moved Seward to Florence? I'm looking at the board, and I know he was in Venice, and now he's in Florence. Do we know why that happened?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
Quite possibly he wants to not overcommit, and this is his way of making it.
Okay. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything over the board.
Yeah,
that would have made that really clear.
I'm not sure about that move. I think I would have preferred to even just move him to Adriatic Sea, because from there he can get to 5 or 55.
That's something that I was. Definitely something I would have considered, which is actually precisely why I brought up the excellent weather earlier. Since for those new to the game, excellent weather makes you move by sea twice,
Mhm.
and therefore you can hop from Venice straight to Valona, which, for if you want the numbers, 57 to 55 in one move.
You know, or
And
you could go like 25 to Ionian and then land in Athens or Salonika and be essentially right on wherever this rumor token is, right? Or I
also,
guess we can do from Venice as
also,
well.
also true. But regardless, it definitely. I mean, the fact that that didn't happen, seems to indicate that they don't have it. I mean, maybe the thought simply didn't occur to him, but which I can't say I would blame him if that were the case.
The chat is just screaming Athens. These rumors in Athens. Heard a rumor about a very nice gyro sandwich in Athens.
Well, you kind of have only yourself to blame for that, Gyro. I mean, it's your after all, as you always say, it's always Athens.
Oh, after the last tournament. Every time. Okay, Bucharest. We found something here.
Oh well.
Game's afoot once again.
So he's not trying to leave overland. He went deep into Baltica.
Is it likely he would move into 28 with Psychic Scan hot and ready?
Either that, or he wanted to. Either that, or he simply wanted to just dance around and make full advantage of the time he had.
No.
It's possible
I think there's no way he went through Austro-Hungary at all, right? Like, I mean, he might have.
And on top of that, actually, that reveals that it's actually Salonika.
It was
not
Salonika.
Athens.
Dang it.
No.
Athens. The Athens rumor is dead. Sad.
It's a shame. It's a shame. But Salonika's, like, Athens is, like, less attractive sister.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Sister is definitely a weird way. Sister is definitely a weird way of saying it.
Yeah, they're sister cities, like the two in the Midwest.
It's like I really want 3, but I'll settle for 46. I'll take it.
Okay, tinfoil hat. He's going to Castle Dracula. I don't
yes, you took it out of my mouth, Pizza Wizard. You beat me to it. Yeah, I think 22 right now with a plan for 14.
The thought has been going through my mind as well, but I'm not sure that he'd dare do that right now.
Think about it.
It's
exactly what
he's
no. It's exactly. Listen, it's exactly what he's doing. If he went to 17 and then 56? All right, I guess he could pass over the Ionian in time, but he would have to do it perfectly, right? And these hunters are coming. So yeah, maybe it's 17 to 56 to Black Sea to Ionian and out, but I think he's going for the castle. I absolutely do.
He could hide, right? If he's in 17, I think he hides in 17. He's probably only going to get 2 hunters on him tomorrow. He could maybe survive that with 2 encounters plus bodyguard.
Well, here's the
it's fog time, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, here's the funny thing. Will the hunters even try to jump on him tomorrow? With there being a rumor token down at Salonika?
That would kind of leave the rumor token to mature if they go after him. If they get, let's assume they get fogged, or even if they don't get fogged, can they get down to 46 in, 1 day? I mean, without sense of emergency, not really.
Okay, we have to point this out at this point. Dr. Seward, what has been mismanaged, I think. What is he doing here? It's possible he's waiting in reserve should Dracula flee the east. Because if Dracula does flee the east, where is he going to land? Probably Italy, right?
Yes.
So that
in that case,
makes sense, but why not have Van Helsing there instead?
Well, I think that was because, simply due to where people happen to be.
Yeah, positioning.
Yeah, and also you want your reserve person to be in the south near Italy. Okay, so
I guess that's not a bad point.
Yeah, and therefore, but then
he did lose his horse, so maybe he lost his horse and pivoted his strategy.
Yeah,
Go on.
my complaint, quote unquote, is that why didn't he just stay in Valona then?
Well, I kind of wanted him to go to a
I
big city so we could like start getting to the items to get the horse back at some
well, that's
point,
the
or like just
thing.
give him something.
He was already in a big city at Genoa.
Did he? I don't think he went to Genoa, right? He went straight from Venice to Florence, or 57 to
He
20.
he rolled fast horse and went
Oh, you mean from
from
yeah.
25 to 57, I think,
Yeah, well then you got him. Well,
and
then you
then
have
to
to after you
20.
roll the horse, don't you? You have to roll
Well,
the
yeah.
horse, or you have
Okay,
to
so
move
in
after
that
you
case,
roll it.
I had forgotten that little
Yeah,
detail.
maybe
Oh,
maybe it was a
well.
pivot of strategy where he simply wants him there to intercept Dracula should he decide to flee that way.
Because if he leaves by Black Sea, right? Rome isn't the worst. I mean, he can supply there for
Well,
like
think
3
about how
turns.
much health does
Yeah.
Dracula have? 11. He'd be down to 9, 8, 7.
Uh,
And by the time he's down to 7, he's probably going to want to land. I mean, he could keep
yeah. Now,
going,
one
but
major question is: do we have a forewarned about? Okay, so he did a renewed vigor and now it's supplying. Not.
Okay.
I mean,
They
renewed
must be
vigor
going
is
in, right?
best. Your renewed vigor is best used for those watching, and when you're ready to just spring into action and you already have the good items you need. So
it's a versatile
so I
card.
can
It puts the hunters into overdrive. They drink all their Red Bull, and it lets you
It gives them wings.
do
You might
what you
say.
need to do. Sometimes you can use it to tackle an encounter that would otherwise mature that you really don't want to mature, right? Like if the vampire is going to mature and win Dracula game, sometimes you might have to renewed vigor onto it. Otherwise, that's game.
I think they must be going. Maybe they're going to use this like supply before they go in the hopes of like drawing a forewarned or something. I think the renewed vigor means they're going in, or they're going after 46. Right? I think those are really the 2 reasons they'd use it here.
But where is he?
He's in 17 or 56, maybe.
Or is he in 28?
He could be in 28. That's true.
Yeah, so he was in Baltica, so he was either at Galatz or Constanta.
It could be hiding in glass as well, I suppose, or but unlikely. Possible.
If I were Dracula, last turn what I would have done was a wolf form, even if it meant that would made them think that it was Galatz, even if I was at Constanta. Therefore, you might be able to.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
Therefore, you would wolf form and simply duck down to the other to the other harbor, and to the other harbor, and then or simply wolf form hide intentionally, so as to basically use it as a bluff in this case.
I love that you had to specify intentionally. 49 says Snuffleupagus. Sarajevo.
I don't think
always
that's
mispronounce
possible, given that we knew he was in Baltica and he had to move through 50 to get to 10 in time.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. The
This is
closest to 49 he
Salonica.
could be right now, and if he had wolf formed, would be Belgrade 6. But yes, that is unfortunately impossible, unless we know that the place after Bucharest is within Baltica.
I think the wolf form here could be good. I think the wolf form probably
right?
makes you have to check 22 just to make sure that he didn't like wolf form to Budapest or something crazy.
When was the psychic scan of Austro-Hungary?
It was, or I mean,
Not
I'm sorry, I'm
last
thinking about
night,
Baltica.
right?
It's okay in Baltica last night, is what I was saying. So he can't be in 49 because we know he was in 22 or 17.
Right, last night he was in 22 or 17 with the psychic scan. That's right.
Yeah.
Just last night he was there.
I don't know if I misspoke and said Austro-Hungary.
And if he had gone back to 50, that would have had to have been misdirected. Okay.
Yeah.
So he didn't go to 28, so he had to have gone to 17. Unless he's hiding. Oh, he's hiding in 22. That's exactly what he's doing. I'm sure of it. No, I'm sure of it.
Your gut is telling you he's there?
I'm telling you. Because then he can wolf form out to get to 1756, right?
Okay. Fun fact.
I did the same thing.
Hunters.
Well, I died, but.
Fun fact for anyone who wants to be a hunter, or if you during renewed vigor, if you move out to sea with your first action, it just skips over the second one. You can't use it as an excellent weather. In other words,
Oh, did John Seward
That's
not
right.
get both his actions?
Did he not supply?
he only moved out to sea. Yeah.
Ooh,
That's
yeah.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
rough.
So fun hunter facts. Be careful about that.
Yeah, we're all learning here. We're all learning. Let's see.
Yeah.
I don't think I believe he's in 22. I think he's in 17 hiding or he's in 56.
You're watching
I
the
think.
Super Bowl, Snuffleupagus.
You should be here.
That-
Come on.
Come on.
It's splitting his attention. It's splitting his attention.
How about a real game?
With high
And for that matter, Snuff, why are you not on getting a little peekaboo into your future opponents?
Why watch
This plays-
football players bash their heads into each other when you could watch these guys bash their heads into each other?
Answer no.
Metaphorically.
It was not 22.
No, come
it was
on.
It was Black Sea Coast.
Oh,
I think that was
excited
relatively poor
too.
use of a renewed vigor, in my opinion.
The John Stewart thing definitely is a little bit of a whiff, but I mean, if you've never seen an interaction before, I mean, for this player, right, he's been playing this game for what? It's already been an hour and a half they've been playing this game. I mean, at this point, your brain starts to like.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
bummed out about no hide there.
If
If he had hidden in 22, he'd be laughing right now because he'd be in a fight with Mina after she had to eat 2 encounters.
That would actually be awesome.
Man.
Yeah, from kill Mina there. Although getting out is tough. I suppose you have to wolf form.
Yeah, that's the trick, Aruk. I just sounded really convinced, and so I convinced
you made me
too.
believe it. I thought it was real the way you said that. I was like, you must have seen something I didn't. I was like, oh.
I thought for sure. I was genuinely convinced of it.
Let's just say that Jared and I voiced chat enough to, even when we are simple spectators watching someone else's stream, we have sometimes chatted just to, and let's just say I've gotten to know get to know better how serious he is about his suggestions.
My wacky conspiracy notions. I mean, you can't always be right.
Oh,
that makes me think the hide is true, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
both of his encounters.
He just saw the.
Yes,
if I just saw the renewed vigor,
that definitely
I'd do the
implies
same thing.
that. Yeah, and or on the other hand, that also strengthens the theory of Varna because nobody can horse onto there, right? This turn without a second renewed vigor.
Arukamania is pointing out some other predictions I had that actually did come to pass. Strider had a game. I unfortunately can't remember who he played off the top of my head. Mad respect to the player though. But yeah, I was able to get inside the Dracula's head and predicted exactly where he would land. And not only that, but that he would die.
Speedy Telegraph.
Speedy Telegraph. Okay, this is interesting.
Okay,
I would have probably paired that with the renewed vigor.
Precisely what I was going to say. Yes, I definitely agree there.
And then you can have Dr. Seward's supply if he's still on land. Get a hired scout.
Someone have
maybe.
a sense of emergency? How are we getting to 46 today? What's going on?
Either that or 56. Does he have several? Does he have both sense of emergencies? Or are there 3 of those?
I don't know if you can really go on to Dracula right now. I feel like you're not going to be able to get more than like one person there.
Game's
and then
turning
it's
in
going to be a
Dracula's
tough
favor,
situation.
Okay.
If I may say so.
Maybe you just have to like let him go and then catch him on the backswing.
And they're not going for the.
Oh?
Answer is it is.
He did hide in 17.
That's
I mean,
kind of
that's what the
wacky.
feed made me think.
Yeah,
well, if you stay in place to keep
both
your encounters, right? That's why you feed there.
Yeah, the fog. That makes sense.
Oh, and now he gets to fight Mina at night. If he wants to.
This is definitely concerning, though. This definitely concerns me because
You're so right, piece of. I'm sorry. Go on. Thanks.
You recall how back in the. I think it was back in the American Regionals tournament. I had a game with Quincy Morris where Speed Telegraph was in play, and I knocked down 2 of his hunters in the Dusk fight, and that made the game just ultimately crash. I hope that does not end up happening, but we may just heads up.
Yeah. Do you take this fight against Mina? It's a tough call.
does Van Helsing trade with Mina today to like show that there might be combat, like heroic leaps happening? I think
To
that would be make me
discourage him
scared.
from taking that fight.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting
Scare me
idea.
if like I thought that he was gonna give her the heroic
Yeah,
leap.
I mean, you can even do it like you like to do and bluff Dracula and say, "Here, take this heroic leap."
This escape route, yes. Take my heroic
Very
leap.
nice.
Okay,
Yeah,
so basically, heads up, we may have to completely reset if that does happen. Because if a hunter dies during speed telegraph, that tends to most of the time will set up a bug that just makes the game crash.
she's
Really?
Yes, Quincy and I experienced that during the regionals tournament. So unless there was a patch that fixed that since then.
Hey, we're streaming here. We're trying to make the game look good. Come on.
I'm just giving the audience a heads up.
I'm just messing around with you. Yeah, I
I
mean,
knew that,
it
Gyro,
could
and I was
potentially
messing
happen.
around with you in return. I know you too well at this point, Gyro.
That you do. That you do. 1v1 Mina at night while on 14 hit points. Not a bad fight. Yeah. Yeah. Agreed, chat. And then if you get the kill, you're in position to actually win in week 4. Because, I mean, look, it's Sunday. It's about to be 2 despair tokens on Monday. Which means he could sail for... But, I mean, I don't know. It might not be worth the damage. Because he can still sail for quite a bit right now. But if he eats a knife and a host...
Right, and then if you hurt Mina,
so
like
good.
she might be able to heal up in time by the time like you actually land again. So then is it worth just hurting her, right?
But is there any point in trying to win as Pirate Drac when you have 0 influence? Like, how are you ever going to get it to 13?
I mean, well, we already know that it's not going to be 0 influence because that thing is going to mature.
You're right.
Assuming it's a vampire, hopefully it is.
Why would he put that as a bait when
it's probably a vampire.
Was? Especially
I mean, he could be trying to bait him to like give him more time on land if they chase after the rumor, but I think it's probably a vampire. I think probably a vampire.
But to go on with my point, but to go on with what I was saying, on top of everything else, has Mina been supplying and trading items all that much lately? I don't recall all that much. So it's possible that she still has only the rifle and the garlic. And that's not exactly the best arsenal to defend yourself with, especially when you're Mina.
Yeah, I almost never like to ambush, but that might have been one time to ambush, because if this vampire is about to mature, you get nothing out of the encounter in Sophia.
I mean, it's possible it's a hoax.
That being said, he might still use his night action here on that encounter. Oh no, he didn't. So now he's not going to get anything out of the Sophia encounter.
How did that knife end up in the discard pile? Did it get strength? What happened? Did he discard a knife at some point?
I don't remember a knife getting strength.
Okay,
so that's a reckless.
Was there.
So that's 7, and he's at C. Okay, Dracula is in pretty good position.
Yeah.
But the trail's cleared. On the plus side.
Yeah.
It does make me wonder why they didn't ambush if they were all going to fall off, but it's fine.
Yeah.
You know.
Maybe
that's a lot of value.
Yeah, that could have been. I mean, that could have been like an aristocratic as a backup.
That's true. Possible. Maybe waste the stake on something that doesn't actually matter, and then they can't deal with the real one.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna make him search.
Now here's where moving to C is gonna sting Stewart worse because he has to move.
He's gonna be a day ahead of Dracula, right? Yeah, it's not exactly where you want to be.
This is the worst part of moving by C, is when you have to deal with this situation.
What I would do is I would actually land at Athens, then you can be on par, and then the next day, the next day follow him by C with Seward. Assuming you have a good enough hand.
I think I'd rather just like move him to Irenia, maybe land him in like 25 or something, and then just start supplying.
It's kind of unfortunate that he went with the plan of keeping his Seward in reserve, only to then like change his mind and move him into the east and not keep him in reserve when
Yeah.
Dracula
the
is
worst
now
of both
actually
worlds,
getting
yeah.
away. Yeah, that's an unfortunate. Whatever your plan is, I'm not saying you should stick to it dogmatically, but yeah, the strength of your plan was taken away when you moved him out of there. But yeah, maybe move to 3 now. Oh no,
What?
he's moving to
Oh
Black Sea.
no.
No, 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 no.
What's going on? We're moving to Black Sea with Johnsford? Yeah, okay. So
I
that's
mean,
what I mean. He's in
then
the same sea now. He's
yeah,
following
Dracula's
him.
gonna move to Ionian. Seward's gonna move to Ionian. Dracula's gonna move to Adriatic or Turanian. Seward's
Kind of
not
the
gonna
same as
know where to
landing in Athens
go.
and leaving. I mean, it's kind of the same. I suppose he gets one less night action this
Yeah,
way,
yeah, it's
and he
not.
can't be traded
It's
with
not the end of the world.
at night. Um,
It's just a very strange way to have your boat travel.
go into this
Captain,
like cove.
take
and
us
then
through
turn
the
around.
Dardanelles. Captain, take us back through the Dardanelles.
It's a good point, Aru. Could have been supplying all this time, right? If you just left him in
Yeah.
like
Oh
25 to
gosh, it
45.
could have been hired scouts, CG, money. I mean, who knows? Forget
I believe
about
in
it.
one thing in this game. I believe in supplying being king, and there has not been very much supplying this game. We
Look
still
at
have
this
49
deck.
events left in that deck. It's fat, as Jaro was putting it. It's a
Yeah,
fat event deck.
it
It's
needs
a
to
lot
be.
on the table.
What's the lowest you've ever seen the event deck in a game that you won, Pizza Wizard, as the
I
Hunters?
think like single digits. Like
Oh
I've
my
seen,
goodness.
I think I've seen like an 8 cards left.
Attaboy. That's how you do
Well, 'cause
it.
Dracula kept going to sea, so it's just like you supply.
There was one very comical game I had with Reckoner when he actually drew out the entire deck. Since he was not only day supplying but night supplying like crazy.
Yeah, but if you didn't win, it doesn't count.
I won.
No, the Hunter player.
Oh, okay.
All right, that's the challenge, everybody. That's the challenge, viewers. Is try to get the event deck as low as humanly possible while also winning the game and catching Dracula.
There are some things to do, right? I mean, like if you get a good Mystic Research, for example, that can help you supply more. Although I suppose you're discarding cards even if you get a bad one, so maybe that's if you're strictly looking at deck size, perhaps that's a moot point. But
yeah, could have been supplying the whole time.
Okay, so unless he's crazy enough to
Where's the
wolf
Rufus
on
Smith?
shore.
Where's the surprising return for Rufus Smith?
Smith's
Yeah.
Oh yeah, draw that surprising
Yeah,
return for
that's
him,
chat.
Yeah, and that's why you want to search and find a surprising return with allies early.
Yeah.
Once again.
That'd have been a huge pull here. Okay, but on the plus side, we know where Dracula is. We know precisely where he is right now.
Yeah.
There's no trail to deal with. If everybody can just kind of get their travel arrangements figured out.
Yeah.
Oh, overtime in the Super Bowl. Interesting.
Yes, definitely. There is definitely overtime in the over or bowl in the Super Bowl like sea of the Black Sea.
I mean, yeah, this game has gone for 2 hours. I mean, okay, not 2 hours, an hour and 45. But we're only end of week, beginning of week 3. Looks like
one day in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lot of thinking. Game goes on a while sometimes. And then sometimes it's really short.
Yep. And I always think when I see a short game that it's because Hunters win, and then occasionally it's a Dracula win, and
Yep.
I'm just like so shocked. It's like, yeah. Got him.
Yeah.
They get the 7-point vampire, they kill a hunter, they get like another small vampire.
Yeah, the Hunters definitely have not yet lost. For instance, because this time, unlike last time, those seas will not be available to Drac to use again. So once he lands, so long as the Hunters can orchestrate their travel back west, as to I'm not sure I would have done that quite yet.
We're doing some sea movement.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that quite yet.
What if he does something cheeky and like goes to Adriatic and then lands in 55 on the assumption that they're all going to go to Tyrrhenian on the assumption that he's in Tyrrhenian?
That's actually precisely why I wouldn't have yet moved Gul'daming out of that area. I would have had him go to Valona and just stake, like, be Coast Guard against that eventuality.
I if
Uh,
if it's possible, I like to keep Mina around here for a psychic scan until
Well, Mina has
Baltica is
hypnosis.
no longer a
oh,
threat. Or, that's even better.
okay, in that case, she should be staying on land.
Okay, this is the great boat journey.
It's the Odyssey right now. They're gonna go.
We're gonna sail after him and chase him down by sea. Let's go. I was gonna bring up sea travel earlier, but I didn't want to ramble too much. I was gonna ask, what's the best time to travel by sea? And I know you're gonna say obviously when you have excellent weather, but like when is it actually advantageous for the hunters to boom by sea?
When you're Van Helsing in 33 at the beginning of the game.
Almost never, right? Almost never. But I would argue that there are maybe situations where
Well, I think excellent weather, like
plan
57 to 55, 55 to 5.
hell,
Athens to Tyrrhenian Sea.
36 to 1.
There
Yeah.
are good. I think a lot of those are with excellent weather, so you can like be on land the whole time, right? You're never stuck at sea. But I there's maybe an argument there where you move like from 50. If you know he's in the east, you move from 57 to Adriatic, so you can land your load in the next day.
Okay.
I mean, it is telegraphed, but like Dracula
Especially
set up
if
a trap.
Especially if maybe you just lost your horse, like in this game.
Yeah, since
could be an
Gul'daman
argument
still
for it,
has
maybe.
one, if I were in the hunter's position, I would send Gul'daman to Adriatic now, have them basically have Gul'daman's and Seward split up, have Gul'daman cover Adriatic, and Seward cover Tyrrhenian, and then Mina goes to Ionian.
I agree, but it's problematic because the Adriatic is a triangle. So where do you land Godalming? 55 or 5?
That depends on that depends if he lands, which obviously we know that Dracula should, because otherwise then Adriatic is ruled out. Unfortunately, I would have him. But if Dracula lands, then you would land him at 55, and have Mia land at 46. So that the next day they can meet up for a hypnosis, to make sure. I can do a normal scan first and then hypnosis if not there.
I can tell you why I don't like the normal non-excellent weather sea movement. Okay, I can tell you why. Number one, while you're at sea, you can't trade with Van Helsing. You can't use events like excellent weather, right? So if you're at sea, Dracula can see you're at sea. He can telegraph your moves to almost to a T, right? He knows exactly what port you're going to land in, probably.
That's a really
right.
good
He knows
point.
exactly what time you're going to get there. He can set up a trap, or he can play around it.
Right.
Whereas if you're on land, you could like pull a renewed vigor, or like chartered carriage, or sense of emergency, and you could like get like halfway across the board. But while you're at sea, your options are much more limited and telegraphed, and that's why I don't like overland sea.
When Dracula can have the information that he needs to like play the game optimally, it's such a disadvantage. Whereas if he's just not quite sure, if he's thinking, ooh, maybe they're going to renewed vigor, I shouldn't stick around and feed, for example, I should go to sea. Like, just that little bit can end up being enough to influence his decision making to where you win the game. Yeah. If he has perfect knowledge or even enough knowledge to make, like, really wise decisions and be really safe all the time, it's dangerous.
Like, and Jero, I legitimately don't mean to rub this in your face, but you excellent weathered. We were playing a game, right? You excellent weathered Godalming to Ionian. I can see Godalming has no more events.
Yeah.
I know Godalming's going to land in Athens or Salonika, right? That tells me, since he moves first, if Godalming moves into me and I have a fog, I'm safe from everyone else, right? But if you're moving over land, you still have an event in your hand. I can't play with that kind of confidence, right? It makes it a lot more scary.
Right. No, exactly.
That's just an example of that. I'm sure it's happened many other times as well. It's just the one that comes to my mind.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah, knowledge is definitely power.
Yeah. In this game, that is very, very true.
It's like I hear some newer players say like, "Oh, I don't like playing Dracula because Dracula like there's so much dead time as Dracula where you're not doing anything and the hunters have 4 turns to take." But there is so much information happening on the hunter turns. If you're Dracula and you want to be like top tier, take all that information in.
Yeah.
It gives you advantage.
There's such a huge difference between like a new Dracula and a really, really strong Dracula. Even though when you're new, it feels like you're doing everything in your power, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's playing a pretty good game,
Mm-hmm.
Mr.
Okay, that would be a wolf form.
Mr. Dono Jack.
So it's Adriatic
Okay.
or Tyranian will form.
So,
Oh, I mean, if I was him, I'd like to be in maybe 36.
You could be even back in the east, right? You could have wolf formed to like Sophia. There's no layers over there. You could be
Yeah.
back in the east right
Yeah.
now.
yeah, that is why what I would do is I would land Mina and Seward so that the next day they would be able to use the hypnosis.
I mean, admittedly, your seeds are going to be on the trail for a while, so if they catch you in the east, you're kind of like stuck there. So
Yeah.
maybe not incredible, right? But if you think they're all going to go west automatically, then the east is really good. If they're going to make the assumption.
Godalming is obviously going to land at 25, I would imagine.
That would make sense.
Unless you want to
Check
assume that
Cagliari, maybe?
Yeah. That's probably not the best of ideas, though.
Wolf
The
Form
Wolf Form
Cagliari.
has
And
been
we
done.
said it at the same time. Yeah, it's not such a
I-
bad little move.
I think we've seen it before.
Oh,
I
yeah,
guess
Quincy Morris did that. I've done that. I mean,
Yeah, I suppose more accurately, what one should say is that it's better to better to not do so.
yeah, I never took notes on if I won the game after Wolf Forming to Cagliari.
I would.
Does Wolf Form Cagliari improve your odds of winning?
Yes, we need
Which-
statistics here, Nomad.
Here's the thing. Look at the
Strider says it's Athens. Oh, I'm sorry.
It could be. That's
oh,
the crazy
my
thing. It could
goodness.
be Athens.
It absolutely could be Athens. That's where the pin is still. Old pin though. Oh, this is tough. Now
Yeah,
everybody's gone on a big sea journey and finally made port.
Oh, I don't know.
Lot of movement.
I think 36 is likely. I think it's also possible he went back east and went into like 50. Although I think it's more likely he went 36. 36.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
Yeah, our
If
TDG thinks it's 36. He's got his pin there.
Yeah. I think that pin's been there for a while. I think that's also.
yeah, he just pins where he uses pins as a way of like marking his possibilities.
It's a psychological warfare tactic, you know? It's like, if you're in Marseille and he gets pinned,
Dracula
bam.
sees the pin and now he's scared. Oh no, they figured out where I am.
In any event, I'm not sure I like the Seward landing at Venice. Okay.
It's better than landing at 5, right? If you think he's in 36. It's closer to 5.
Yeah,
Or it's closer to 36, I mean.
this whole Athens thing was a huge letdown. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it was.
There was no CG scene either.
Well, yeah.
Could have just landed right there at Athens. It's not like he didn't mature the vampire anyway, but
Yeah, Athens is further away by road, I suppose. Is it? Hold on. It's not. It's the same route. But it's a big city, which is actually a disadvantage.
it's
But
further
we
away
love it.
from 50 though, and it's further.
Hold on. Wait.
It's not.
From
It's
50?
not. Yeah, it's further away from
Where's
50.
50?
Sophia.
Oh, from Sophia. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, it's further away,
It's
but
not.
it's like coming
You're
from.
right that it's not like further away if they're in
Coming from the
58.
west.
Or let's say, yeah.
They got their horse economy going. You know.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting, the whole big city versus small city with vampires, right? Because if you discover a vampire at night in a big city or in a small city and you can't really fight it, you can't just sit and supply. You have to leave, go somewhere else, supply for the stake, or send someone else to get it, right?
Right, or
It's a
just
huge
let it
pain.
mature. Yeah.
Or just let it mature.
And lots of times, yeah, like you pointed out, Athens isn't really further away depending on where they're coming from, right? If they end up coming from the direction of say 10, which often does happen, to be fair.
That's true. Because
It is further away from 10, but it's not further away from say 58 or 49.
Essentially anywhere on the west side of the board, you can get there. I mean, maybe
but another
not quite if
example
you're
would be
depending on
like
rails.
if you look in Spain, Cadiz and Granada, like Is 12 really any
Well,
further away than 26?
It's not, but
And
we like
one's a
12
big
more because
city.
it's a seaport. We
Well,
like 12 because it's a
precisely,
seaport.
yeah, but that's only situational still.
here's what I think about the possibility of Cagliari. I think that that'd be just a mistake by Dracula, and for the reason of how much time is left.
Yeah,
He
that's
only
a really
needs
good
2
point.
land moments, and it'll only be a few more days. So that thing, that thing will be quite possibly the last thing the hunters need to worry about. So far as that goes, unless he is forced to see again.
He's still got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. 5 days.
Okay, so that thing will mature. If it's CAG.
36? No.
Nope.
Is it actually like 50? I think it's 50.
I mean, it could be anywhere in the east. It could also be 13. He could have wolf form to, I suppose, like,
37.
was someone in 37?
Yes.
Was somebody there? No, he was in 25. So I suppose 37 also technically possible.
I mean, strictly speaking, we could have a Munich on our hands.
Could be Munich by now.
Pretty
Could
good
have
wolf form.
gone to Tyrrhenian, wolf form to like 40 or 5, and is planning to leave via Adriatic. Oh, I think that's really risky when everyone's in the Adriatic Sea. I don't know if I'd do that.
Pretty good wolf form, honestly, because there were 2 different sea
No,
zones he
not
could have been
Munich.
in, and then by wolf forming, he like doubled the number of ports.
Yeah. And the rough thing is, right, you can't just check 55. If you think he's east, you have to check like 49, 50, 46. Even you have to check Athens, right? Because it's possibly went to Athens to then move out of it.
Well, whatever the case, we'll find out tonight
Oh,
as
the
Mina is
hypnosis.
about to use hypnosis. Hence why I Seward simply survived today, rather than doing anything else.
That's a good call. That hypnosis needs to come down, I think, so they know if they're moving away from where it actually is.
Wouldn't it be hilarious? And very frustrating as the hunters. I will definitely add.
Oh, it can't be. Oh, yeah. No, these people are right. Chat's right. It can't be in Cagliari.
Can't misdirect wolf form stuff, Alephicus, so you hope you're joking.
Gotta misdirect that wolf. Yeah.
That'd be a pretty solid play. Misdirect your wolf form and get it back in wolf form again.
Just pull up a coding window. Just be like, wolf form, misdirect wolf form. Yes.
I'm gonna need a yellow card on that.
No, guys, it was just a bug. I swear, it was a bug. Let me do it this one time.
In the 3rd edition, well, to be clear, this was how I at least interpreted the rules. If I recall correctly, there was nothing in the rules index nor printed on the misdirect card that said Dracula couldn't misdirect a sea zone. And it was awful. My sister would go into the UK and start misdirecting sea zones. And she would land in 13 and misdirect a sea zone. So you wouldn't know which direction she was going now. Oh, it was awful.
Isn't Tantaz did a normal psychic one first? Makes sense, because that means she can have a day movement tomorrow. So, from what we know, that means that he is back in the east.
Actually, you're right.
36 in Munich were the only things that aren't in Italia.
I mean, the east was really good unless someone landed, because they were in like Ionian Adriatic, I think. If they had landed back in the east is terrible. But if they don't land in the east, like they have not done, the east is great, right? They have so much time.
Yeah, which is precisely why I would have gone about it. Mina landing in Salonika as well as Godalming or Seward in this case.
He can only be in Baltica or in 49. Well, I mean, as far as where he wolf formed too, and now he's one city further.
I mean, he could be at 59 in theory, but though why he would do that, I have no idea.
I really kind of wish Mina hadn't been put to sea, so we could have seen that hypnosis like yesterday.
I'm kind of wishing nobody had gone to sea at all, and just supplied, except maybe Godalming. I kind of like what Godalming did, because he eliminated the extremity. That was a good move.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
Marseille was
Mina,
scary.
Mina and Seward could have done a psychic bond or a
Uh,
hypnosis without having to be here in Venice.
I don't know how good their movement is. I don't know how good their tick. It's possible that they wouldn't have been able to get west very fast if they had to move via a normal route. So the sea move looks good. Like going from I don't know where John Stewart was, but getting if he was, imagine if he was in the west, moving by sea to get west faster would have been good. It's just turned out in this instance because he didn't go west, it's not very good at all, right?
Well, they kind of put the cart before the horse here. The hunters were almost in front of Dracula with their sea travel.
Mhm.
Especially Dr. Seward's awkward sea movement. But the problem with chasing Dracula by sea is that Dracula can just kind of go where you least expect. If that makes any sense. He can play. It's like you said about the sea travel. Dracula knows where you're going. Your movement is so telegraphed, and he can just work
Right.
around that. So
Yeah. I mean,
it's
Yeah.
like you guys called out ahead of time. It's likely he did just go back to the east because he saw precisely what everyone was doing. They wouldn't move by sea only to stay in Baltica.
they could have landed in 55, but the problem with doing that is it doesn't even tell you if he's there, right? You land in 55, you don't know anything.
Right.
That's why the wolf form was so good. If he hadn't wolf formed, I think you definitely check 55 and you make sure he didn't go east. But with the wolf form out, it's so
Yeah.
hard to check, like
And here's
without
the
committing
thing.
significant resources.
Here's the thing. Since all that trail got wiped by the vampire, uh, he can just prance around all he likes, and then, if necessary, go out to sea yet again. Uh,
Mm,
since the seas are now starting to come off,
so let's say
if at
he
all necessary.
let's say he wolfed to 50, and then he went to 10, and then he went. Yeah, no, maybe still a little early for Castle Dracula. Yeah.
Yeah, he can't have gone that far quite yet. It's possible he can now.
If he's
But
if he's if he's planning on lurking in Austro-Hungary a bit, if I was him, I might have done something like that, like gone 50, 49, 6, 53, 20.
Whoa. TDG's pulling up something huge. You're saying he can't play, they can't play their event cards. I
okay,
wonder what that would be, if it's a specific event card or if there's a misunderstanding of how and when they can be played.
Right, I'm not sure if
what
it's a player
want me to
error.
get in touch with him as to that? I haven't experienced.
No, I
We'll
don't
see
I
what
don't think
happens.
we
Yeah, we can see
should.
what happens. It's something to bring up. I'm gonna bring it up, but we can't interfere.
Yeah,
Um,
we're only
like
watching. Oh,
I
he's nice
remember
applied. Dracula's received a card.
distinctly in the last game between me and Matt King, there was a question about how escape route worked, and Scott Stewart and Wakaji were both like watching, and they were really tasteful, and they didn't. I think Scott Stewart said something about how escape route lets you get any hunter out, but then when he realized that it was a player error, he did say something else, and I thought that was really tasteful of him. Um,
Here's
Okay,
hypnosis.
okay.
Ooh,
Oh,
Austro-Hungary,
It's
that
just
tells you
like I
something.
said, Austro-Hungary.
that tells you a little bit.
He's trying to draw it out, and if you're drawing it out, you go into Austro-Hungary first before you go back into Baltica again.
Well, it doesn't. I mean, they
Because
kind of know you're
Baltica's
east
not really
already.
that big.
Yeah, Baltic is not that big.
Yeah. I mean, so you go like 50, 49, 6, 28, 10. Then you
I'm
start
actually guessing that
going back.
what's happened is 56, 28, and now
Mm.
and now 22. Do something of a loop-de-loop.
Because the ports aren't really safe, right? Like, there's no safety in the ports while the seas are on the trail, so there's no reason to stick to the ports yet.
Now that Black Sea is off the trail,
That's true. Now he could be in the port.
now that like a CG bomb wouldn't blow.
Although
everything.
he's not, right? Because he was in Austro-Hungary last turn, so he can't be at a port today, or at a Black Sea port at least today.
That's
Yeah.
a good point.
I mean,
Could
he
be
could
back at 55.
He could, but what would that do him?
He could go 55 and then like 3 next turn, and then go to Ionian the turn after that. But I don't know if he wants to go to sea again. He might just be able to get the points here.
Okay, yeah, the turn after that, I see.
Yeah, I suppose he's simply waiting for that rumor token. Yeah, I think at this point, the hunters have had a very rough game. I'm not sure if they can pull this back, even if they, because they have only 2 horses in play. Even with a double charge carriage, uh, or sense of emergency charge
We
carriage, with a new
as the
greater.
hunters, you just got to keep morale high. Okay, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't think you can win, then you can't win. You just got to go for
Yeah.
it. You got to take every shot that comes to you, even if it's a 1 in 10, 10% chance you win. If you
You're
give
so
up on it,
right.
it's a 0% chance.
Pizza Wizard, I had a game. This wasn't a tournament game. It's just a casual game. The Dracula player matured a fog and was able to put 2 fog tokens onto 17. And I forget exactly where he was. He was like in 10 or something, or 50 or something. Anyway, point is, he wolf formed such that if all he had done was moved on to that city, he would have won the game. But he got a little too clever and also was, I guess, semi-new and forgot exactly how fog worked and whether or not he would be safe. But he tried to double bluff me, essentially. And be like, you think I went to the city with the fog tokens, right? But I actually didn't. And so I said to myself, well, the only thing I can do is check the cities that I can check. I can't check the ones with the fog tokens. And he was there, and I ended up getting him. And it was just like, a mistake on his part, to be honest. But you never give up. You're absolutely right. You
The
take whatever
mistake would have
shot you
been
can
if you
get.
hadn't checked.
Huh?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, although I don't exactly get why Cologne was going up to Paris instead of
Okay.
towards the east.
That does seem a little bit. The
That's a
mentality
bit.
might be a little bit broken by now. There might
That
be a
move could have been a supply instead.
yeah.
Admittedly, he was in Geneva,
We're just.
and therefore a small town.
It's for nostalgia. They had a great victory over New Vampire there. They just want to go
It's
back and relive
true.
it. It's the good old
Reminisce
days.
before Europe falls into darkness. Whatever that means precisely. Like, what does Dracula's victory look like exactly?
I think it means like
vampires
he has
are
enough
all over the
influence over
place
the population that like people just like bow down, right? Like he just like essentially becomes like
the Lord,
the ruler. Yeah.
But that I don't know though. It's
Whoa.
false tip. Oh.
Oh dear.
Yeah, this has been quite the long one.
Whoa.
Back to start.
I mean,
Oh dear.
Yeah, Dracula doesn't even need to go to sea. He can just walk it out, right?
Yeah, and Mina's delayed, doesn't have any day action.
Go to Castle
Sunday,
Dracula
Monday,
for
and
the
Tuesday,
IDS.
yeah.
Maybe.
Doesn't see she's delayed. Why isn't it moving on tonight? That's a bit odd.
Oh no. Don't crash now, game. Oh no. Game's thinking about it. Oh god, this is the worst. If this game actually crashed, these are the worst games where there is some sliver of chance Hunters actually wins. You can't just say it's one way or the other, and like how much hit points Dracula would have isn't clear cut because he could feed before. Okay, thank you, game.
There you go.
Good job.
But how come the delay?
Germany.
Is Mina delayed?
She should be from that hypnosis class last night. That's a bit odd.
Yes. Mina got an extra. Did not get the extra action, essentially. Okay, well, hopefully Dracula wins, and then we won't care about it. Please.
I mean, yeah, that was very weird.
Yeah, you just hope Dracula wins at this point, so that it doesn't really matter. At least I think in my opinion, right? Because if Hunters win now, you'll be like, oh, Hunters got an extra action. I mean, I guess it's not like they supplied and got a crucial information event or something. It could be worse. It's fine.
Yeah, in fact, she just went off in the wrong direction. So, if anything, that extra action hurt them.
Yeah, it's fine. Them. I do think Blazing's right that the writing is very much on the walls where this game's going. I just think that as Hunters, if you, like I said before, essentially, you should always try. Even if you can't check every spot, you should check what spots you can.
Agree.
You should do what
you can.
Yeah,
there is one final hope. There is one final hope in the form of a CG bomb.
Problem is,
if they catch him near to Castle Dracula, they put the permanent one at 10, and then put the other three up at 28, 22, and Castle Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
It's still
You can
possible
even
they
throw
might
a
be able to
Hail
just
Mary.
blast
Well,
him.
you can't
Yeah,
put
there is
consecrated
that is
ground at 28, 22, or Castle Dracula.
Yeah.
the Heavenly Hosts, yes, but you
No,
can't
you
put the
can't put
permanent
any
token.
of them at 28, 22, or Castle Dracula.
Okay.
Gyro is right. I think the
Yeah.
problem is you need to get hunters over to the east. That is the Hail Marys. You need to have people over there, and everybody's moving in the opposite direction. I think maybe the mindset's gotten to them, or they misread the prompt and thought it was Germania, for example. That would make sense. I think that's probably what happened in my head. Although I don't know how he thinks he got into Germania with this wolf form, given that 38 and 37 were both checked. That's a bit, yeah, I don't know. We've been playing this game for 2 hours. Our minds are like, they're a little bit melted. It's okay. I like the music on the fourth week.
Oh, I turn it off.
It's more.
It makes me too nervous.
The fourth week, week 4 music. It's not a week 4 music so much as a 10 plus influence music.
I'll tell you, if I never caught Dracula at 10 influence, I'd have never caught him.
I mean, I was looking at some of the result information that's public that was released in Discord, and Dono Jack did lose both his games, but he lost them and didn't have very much low IDS. So it looks like he lost both of his previous games narrowly, which
both of which, so far as I know, were Striders. So,
ooh,
he was.
I'm excited Strider did well. Actually, he deserves it. He worked so hard and for so long.
He's played a lot. He's played a lot of games.
That's it. That's game.
Yeah.
Oh.
He got
what
away.
was the final spot? Varna. He was prepared to go to sea if necessary.
Look, that's good. You don't get cocky as Dracula either. It's a good call.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I like that.
Dracula wins this one, ladies and gents.
Yep. And
Hunters
he had, let me see, I believe he had 9 health left, if that helps. If that helps with scoring IDS.
Well, it's on the record now, because this will be on my channel.
Yeah.
Well, it was a good one. Good effort.
Yeah.
I think that few fundamentals still need to be learned there, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that
it's one thing to learn them, and it's another thing to practice them.
I think that the biggest mistake TDG made was resorting to too much sea travel, and that also, of course, misreading the hypnosis. And he did an excellent job at checking the spots that simply his psychic scan didn't show him. Or actually, he didn't use the hypnosis was the problem. Or did he? Right, he did use that, but the thing is, he should have already known that area, that it was over in Austria-Hungary and /Baltica with the simple psychic scan after checking Munich and after checking both Munich and what's it's called.
Yeah, there was some okay stuff there with the sea travel, like Godalming's move, checking 36, the outer extremity like that, was not necessarily bad.
I think it's far from not necessarily bad. I think that was a good move.
Right, but somebody needed to linger around to deter Dracula. The way to keep Dracula from doing exactly what he just did is you just keep Mina there with somebody else so she can psychic bond. And then Dracula won't want to go back to.
Yeah, Baltica. In this case, I think what should have been done is simply Seward just stays put.
Deterrence.
If you in Italy to discourage him landing immediately there, and then keep both Godalming and Mina in Austria-Hungary or /Baltica to threat. The thing is, Mina was showing that hypnosis, so if he had even wolf formed over them, they could have used that and. They would know he's there. So Drac knew about that hypnosis.
Yeah. A little more early supplying and a little less eager movement. Slow down, gather your breath, after the trail's cleared instead of trying to check every single space where Dracula could be.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like to move in scan at the end of the game. But you know, to each their own. To each their own.
No, I agree. Generally, you don't want to, because then you're all the better prepared towards the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, you can only hold 3 events, but it rarely comes into play super early, as long as you manage them well.
I kind of feel like if I'm drawing the 4th good event, like let's say I'm drawing the Renewed Vigor and I have to discard like a Speed Telegraph to keep the Renewed Vigor, I feel like I'm not complaining about doing that because I have the Renewed Vigor now. But yeah, you know, there is some. I think there is a line to be made about a talk to be had about using like rather than just holding onto them forever, using some of the less good ones, like using a movement event, for example. If you have 3 good events and you're going to be supplying a lot, just using a movement event, so you're not if you're going to discard it when you draw the 4th good event. I think there is maybe some slim thing to be argued.
Right.
There, but...
No, agreed. Like, what's the point of throwing away excellent weather when you could have just used it instead?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But yeah, good game. Good stuff.
That's one game closer to round 2, and due to the slight tweak Scott Sword had to make the tournament functional, well, TDG will at the very least get 1 batch of best of 3 in knockout. So his tournament days are not even close to over yet. So he still has a chance. All of them do.
And the thing about these tournaments that's interesting is that you become a better player as you play.
Yeah.
So he's very likely going to learn a lot from this loss and come back even stronger out of it.
Yeah. The later you face the newer people, the more you have to be wary of them.
Yeah.
I mean, for real, right? Like, I think, you know, I mean, in the first tournament I played in, I felt pretty bad. My first 2 matches did not go very well, but you live, you learn, right? You live, you learn, you get better.
It's a crucible.
Yeah,
By the time you come out of it, you might be forged in fire.
In my case, look back approximately a year ago to the spring regionals, where I came in second to last with Strider, barring only Strider beneath me. And that was simply a score of number of wins. And it was dang close, but then I look at me in the fall league. I ended up with a score of 50-50, and only got knocked out by IDS, and now Strider has just completed a full clean sweep.
Onwards and upwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be a discouraging game, but to anybody who might play this and be discouraged, I played for 8 years before I ever won a Hunter game. Ever. And no, I'm not talking about playing the digital edition for 8 years. I played the tabletop, and there were lots of changes over the years, but I could never catch that damn vampire in 3rd edition. It was always a nightmare. And then, you know, one day you discover a few YouTubers, and you learn a few important tips, and all of a sudden it's a different game. So, I mean, you can always get better. You can always improve.
Yeah. Any last thoughts on this?
Yeah.
Because I think that sums things up nicely.
Yeah, I think we've said our piece.
Yep. For every big mistake you make, be grateful, because that mistake you'll never make again. All right, everybody.
That is most likely.
I'm signing off. Thanks for enjoying the stream instead of the Super Bowl, and not simultaneously as the Super Bowl.
Look, you've gained 1 subscriber, so...
Whoa, the bump! Let's go! Here we come, front page of YouTube. Watch out, algorithm. All right, everybody, have a great night. Pizza Wizard, Banks of Fire, have a great night. I'm going to go ahead and sign off.
Our pleasure.